our co-host, Kyle Frisbee. I'm here with Uncle T. You may know from watching him play on the stream, so it'll be fun to do this with you today, Uncle T.
I'm
so
looking
we're
forward to it.
getting started here with a PLO bomb pot, double board PLO. Typically a split pot game. Everybody sees a flop. In this case, for $10, we'll be playing primarily 2-5 no limit hold'em, and we'll get to know the players kind of as we get going here. Uncle T and I know quite a few of these folks,
Yep.
so this will be interesting.
Yeah, we're a couple of people short of a full deck right now, but a full slate. But, you know, there's a couple more coming in. It's a holiday week, so it's not unusual. Kind of wondered how we'd have participation. But Russell in the box, so should be fun.
Absolutely, and I see folks hopefully jumping in the chat here. Feel free to ask any questions. Looks like Frank has joined us. He's going to gamble his points.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain to me as the night goes on how this works.
Yeah, you
tried
have to
explain
enter
it,
a little code, and it'll let you roll to increase your loyalty points. Looks like Frank has kicked us off there.
Yep. All right. Obviously, spades and hearts are in play. This is where I always tell Lottie, it's like I don't even know if I should commentate on or comment on the hand until we get to the turn. Because
yeah, when you start to look at these, I just
much to look at. Oh, got a set of tens for Corey.
But yeah, the best way to kind of follow, and for the viewers as well, what I do, I just look at the percentages and then the board and see who who has a shot here.
Do the work, right?
4 call, 8 fold, 9 fold.
Just like Doug leads out.
Doug, a very accomplished local player. Played with him quite a
Tough
bit.
player to play against.
Very tough player to play against. Saw we have Kevin Y as well.
Yep.
Played quite a bit with Kevin Y.
Looks like Corey's only got the set of tens in his favor, and he's obviously thinking about the straight draw, but he boats up. Second nut boat.
Chop pot if nobody folds.
Yeah, it looks like the 9-10 is a hit. Well, just 9, not the 9 on top. I don't know if Doug could stick around for that.
Yeah, we'll see what Corey does here. He's definitely going to bet.
Oh, yeah. 150. I don't know how Doug can call here because he's looking at that straight on the top. Jack 10's a great hand here. So
pretty auto lay down there.
Yep. Corey takes it down. Good start tonight. Always good to win the first pot, especially a bomb pot.
Always feels good no matter the size. Dragging chips on the first one.
You're off the snide. They're not playing the stand-up game, but, you know, at least you're.
10's on.
Yeah, just like San Antonio, exactly. Every card house is.
Russ, one of my favorite dealers in the box.
Absolutely.
He and all of the stream dealers do just great jobs.
It's a very tough job, too. Not only do they have to do a great job dealing, but they have to call out all the action verbally to our producer, Mel, here.
Yep. And Mel is not easy to talk to, I can tell you.
She is.
Oh, there she is. Probably my favorite personality in the building, Mel.
1 fold. 2 fold, 3 4
Well, MH, tough player to play against. I played against him a couple times. Really knows how to put the pressure on. We were talking about that earlier.
Definitely plays position very effectively, too. You can tell he values that as he should.
Obviously, when you get a pair of fours, the board is all over.
Kevin Y with not much.
No. He's not playing his cards at this point, probably, when he sees that board. Did we lock up there?
Looks like we have a
Looks like
freeze.
our feed locked up.
How late did it?
Bear with us here while we get the video stream back up. So this would be a good time. Uncle T, I've not commentated with you yet personally, but what's your poker story? How long have you played? How did you start?
Oh, gosh. I always tell people I am long in the tooth, so, as they used to say. So I go back to sitting behind my grandfather with his buddies game that they used to play at my grandparents' house when I stayed with them for the summer, and he'd have me sit behind him in a high chair. Now, I was older than that, probably 10 or 11. and watched them play stud and draw games all
Wow.
night. And if my mother knew what those men talked about in front of me, she would have never let me in the room. But I fell in love with poker and then played a lot of backgammon when I was younger, which translated. A lot of people see backgammon as kind of a
Somewhat related.
somewhat related, got a game theory aspect to it. Is it still locked up, Mel?
Heads up.
We're locked up over here.
I mean, it doesn't
The freeze,
Yeah.
we're frozen. Mel, as always, is going to do her IT wizardry.
honor whatever.
But yeah, and so obviously that was way before Texas Hold'em was even a thing. But it got me. Oh, there we got the stream back. Check.
Seems like that's a somewhat common and cool story. Folks get introduced to the game by maybe a parent or grandparent in your case. That's pretty cool.
Okay, so obviously we've got different hands than what we were showing originally. So this is obviously a different hand than our fours.
Fortunately, that one probably just went check, bet, fold.
Yeah, it did. Whoever did the
I don't think we missed
betting
much.
won that hand for sure. No, we're on. We've caught up now. So 8-7. The MH did not get there, so the queens are ahead.
Curious to see what Kevin does here. He's going to check it. MH is probably going to try to buy it and get picked off by Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin. Playing a lot with Kevin, I can tell you that he has a lot of confidence in second pair, especially based on how the action goes. So at this point, he's probably thinking, maybe I could be out-kicked, but and there's a heavy bet.
Yeah, MH overbets the pot, so as they call it, this is very polar. This represents either maybe a rivered straight or flush or nothing. This case, nothing.
And, you know, very easily you could see here, you know, if he had, well, something, he could have a two-club hand that doesn't really stretch into a straight. That's kind of hard to imagine, you know, a 9-jack maybe. But Kevin will take his time and work it through, and I'm guessing he's going to call. And we're frozen. No, we unfroze.
We're back. Yeah, I echo those sentiments. Kevin has broken my heart
Yes.
bluffing a few times. One hand was more than a year and a half ago that I still remember quite vividly. He's going to find the call here, it looks like.
Yeah, he doesn't count
Wow.
out unless he's calling. Good call. And he'll get the good call. Yeah, you're good, MH said.
He makes MH show.
Yep.
MH not
That's
thrilled
the
about
other thing
it.
Kevin's great about. He'll sit there and stare at you like you don't get, you have to show it.
I get your money and free information.
That's right.
Well,
And
actually expensive information that
yeah.
he purchased there.
Yeah, that was very purchased. What was that, 1.5 times the pot?
About 1.5x the pot, yeah.
Yeah, that was a substantial bet, but
And
that's a hard person to push off ahead.
And I don't know about you, Uncle T, but I feel like overbetting the pot has become a little more mainstream lately.
Yeah.
Feel like I didn't used to see it as often. But the one thing I've noticed, I'm curious, do you feel like people do it more often when they have the nuts or when they're bluffing? Just as a general rule.
Well, you know what I'll think about? As a general rule, it's kind of hard to say. It depends on the, you know, this is a know your player kind of thing. Mm-hmm. In this case, MH will put that in his back pocket and use it in the future.
Yeah.
So he may imitate a big bet like that.
Right.
And even make a big bet like that now for later having in his catalog. So it's real hard to say, you know, between recreational, semi-pro, and pro players, which we see a good mix typically on this table, not tonight so much. You know, Jay Wynn was here last week, and Sam came and played our PLO. Those kind of players, there's not a thing they do that they don't catalog.
Right.
So the answer changes based on what that kind of player is. Those two guys right there, I guarantee you MH puts that in the back of his mind. When he has the nuts, he'll make a similar
He'll
bet.
do it again.
Yes. And Kevin, being the player he is, will think about that.
Right.
It's like the never.
Is
the
he
peeling
thinking
onion.
that I'm thinking that I knew he was caught him bluffing last time?
Exactly.
Yeah. They're both definitely capable of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Second and third level.
Kevin isn't just broken your heart; he's broken my heart. So my favorite hand, 8-10 of hearts, he crushed me with one night. I'm like, how do you have that? That's my hand, and he knew that. So,
He also recently took down a large tournament.
Yeah, yeah. Was that the art? The
It
previous
was-
art?
Yeah,
of
Art
Poker?
of Poker.
Yeah. A close friend of ours, Jeff Joffrey, got 7th in that yesterday, or I guess Saturday. So TCH going over and doing well for the lodge for tournaments. I always say that we've got a really high quality player here.
Oh, yeah.
Set player pool.
It's like Doug is going to 3-bet here, or is this a 4-bet? I guess it's a 4-bet.
Yeah.
King Queen actually has James dominated. He's going to call.
Likes those suited. Some people think that's an overvalued hand, but I like it. And that is an action flop.
That is not a great flop for James here. Kind of the nightmare when you play those kind of speculative kickers.
Yeah. Now he's feeling better.
Now he feels better because he beats King 10s.
His 9's covered up with the
chops
jack.
with King 10.
Yeah.
So he's going to bet, and Doug checked, assuming he was way ahead, and basically baited him into this.
Oh, now,
bet.
now it's that's a terrible card for Doug.
Yeah.
Like a terrible card. It still plays, though. His queen still plays because his counterfeits the 3s, but he's got to be thinking, gosh, did he call me off all this way with the jack?
Be curious to see how much value Doug goes for here. I think his hand's probably too strong to check back, but... And also, there's not a whole lot of people that have river checks in their range if maybe they made trip jacks. He does just flat, or I'm sorry, make a small bet.
75.
Gets paid.
Yep. That's a couple of good players that probably didn't get as much into the pot as they could have. There've been a couple of players that were a little less skilled.
Yeah, against other players, I could definitely see more money in the
Yeah.
pot there.
Yeah, a little more recreational types.
But James saved himself some money with the checks there.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't try to rep the jack,
Didn't
which he
over-
but at the same time he's probably got in his head, did I get called off with jacks? So with the jack.
I'd be curious to ask Doug if he bet so small, if he was hoping to get raised or he just wanted to maybe get a teeny bit more value, thinking possibly James was very weak.
Yeah. Well, Doug, I don't know how much he's played with James. James is a very good player. I mean, he was telling us a story the last time we played together about playing when he was 3.
Wow.
Like laying out cards. And his mother was very supportive of him when he was young. She would take him when he was a little bit underage to places to play. So he's a very good player. Nope, there is the set.
That actually reminds me a bit of Doyle Brunson. That was, before computers and poker books and percentages, he would just play with a deck of cards to figure out how often does it hit if you have a flush draw. How often does this draw hit? Got a set here for Doug.
Yeah, even with a gut
Nobody
shot.
to pay him, and that can almost be tilting if you finally make a set.
You see the look at his the kind of, Yep, that's always disappointing. I had a hand like that, induced to 7 yesterday, where I just 76'd and was on the button, which is always great because that's such a position game. And nobody even showed up. I took the blinds down. I was like, oh, great. It's disappointing. You can make, but Doug's also an extremely patient player. So
yeah, absolutely.
So you said you played with MH before. I've only played with him twice.
Yep.
I know what my impression was. What do you expect out of him tonight?
I think he'll be aggressive. He'll play position. He will mix bluffs, as we already saw with his overbet against Kevin Y. They got picked off, but like you said, there's no doubt that he's the type of player that will, mix in an overbet where he has the nuts and wants to get called. So he's really fun to watch, I think, and adds, some excitement to the stream.
Yeah. Yeah, he came for, I think, the 2-5 a couple of weeks ago, and sitting upstream of him is tough.
Yeah, I would not envy that. If I recall, I saw that. I think you were to his direct right.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I was. There was somebody in between us.
Oh, you had one player.
As a matter of fact, it
yeah.
was James. And
Okay.
having those two behind me,
Yeah.
they made my night miserable all night. So I'd start off with a king like a hand like ace five of diamonds, and I'd open, and it would be 4-bet, 5-bet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, hell, now I've got a bad hand.
Interesting turn here. Both players, excuse me, with top pair. James with top kicker as to go with it.
Yep.
And a gut shot.
But a straight Broadway on the board, so something we can consider. Hearts also. James right now is thinking about how does he push off a draw, probably.
He's got to protect his hand. Be interesting to see what Kevin does after he bets here.
The best part is he's playing with the
That's about 2/3 spot or
started
something.
with a king, and then he checked min raised him.
The board was 10-9-6 with 2 hearts, turn king, and I got check min raised.
I'm guessing he's gonna certainly not folding it. He might consider a raise.
Queen calls him a small blind, so that whole hand is amazing.
I mean, I guess he's like double bluffing.
Just flats.
Floats it along.
Candidly, that's what I would have done as well.
Yeah, me too. I'd want to see at least one more card.
The hand was amazing.
That guy.
Yeah.
Probably just bet call
And then checks down
here.
for $50.
Yeah, you bet.
Pretty big blank on the river.
I was like, I wish.
James probably thinking
I
right now,
had
what
jam
can I
for
get him to call?
$50 and he folds. That would be
He's
amazing.
got to feel like he's good.
Not a lot of deuce fives make it to here.
No, not especially in Kevin.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a know your player. I don't know how well James. He's played with him a few times here. I doubt he's putting him on anything.
That's
scary.
interesting insight you shared there about James. I've actually never played with him. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's been in town very long. He's an Ohio native. We talked about that. Browns fan, so he had a good weekend. But yeah, he told us quite a bit about his poker history for such a young guy.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Very good guy. Very enjoyable to play with. All of these guys are.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to say anything about anybody at the table, at least on the live stream.
Right.
But yeah, these are all players that I like to play with.
There's 3,900 in the middle going to the river. There's no way.
The exception of having MH on your left.
Yeah, Kevin's in the hot seat. That's for sure.
That's probably the highlight of my night.
Hopefully we get a couple more players in the next 15, 20 minutes. I know there were a couple of cash players that were thinking about coming over.
The whole hand was just
So Chase was thinking about coming over. Who always adds entertainment to any table he's at. I don't care if you're at the breakfast table, he's going to add action.
So this is, what is the difference between a good and, I'll just go ahead and call him a great player, like Kevin. He calls the overbet and nails a bluff with second pair on one of the first hands. And here he has top pair. It's a river. He's getting almost 3-1.
max value.
Finds the fold.
Yeah, it sees right through the value, the value bet. You know, and like I said, James was trying to figure out how much he could get out of him, and Kevin saw through it. That's exactly right. It's very hard to get value out of Kevin.
Yeah,
especially by the time the board's completely run out. He's got in his mind what your hands, most likely hands are.
One bet, 25.
2 Broadway cards for Corey to start off with.
Two raise, 70.
And a 4 bet from James with a similar hand to what Kevin just played.
Notice a lot more players playing the small suited aces, certainly in position.
I think that's a great point. I think I see that more. It's something, in my opinion, that a newer recreational player should avoid, especially in the ace-6 to ace-9 range. But they play like it's ace-jack or ace-4. And this level player knows exactly what the value of this hand is, and if you miss your board, fine.
Right. Or if you hit top pair, you don't get overly excited. You're not going to lose a big pot with top pair, no kicker.
Right.
And I agree with you. Yeah, if you're a new player, or maybe you've played for a while, but you don't get to play as often as you'd like, I would stay away from those small aces.
Yeah, they get overvalued.
Yeah.
This is a bit of an 08 thought, but you kind of like that because it hits both ends of the board. As a more advanced player, you're like, okay, my ace deuce has got more texture to it than an ace 10 really, because you hit a low board and you may, you know.
Or obviously the nut flush is your dream, but you could flop a pretty disguised 2-pair. Somebody has ace king, and now you have a chance to stack them.
Yep. Well, like I said, it's hand that's great pre-flop, and then you can just react.
Right.
Which is true of every hand, but especially with that hand. I saw a pair of deuces there.
There we go. Corey with the ducks.
And he is ahead. An ace would be a terrible card, at least for MH. Well, Merry Christmas, but now the ace has got you dead to rights. Well, no, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you've got the.
It's a pretty rough cooler here-ish for Corey. When he gets raised here,
You're so happy about that card, but then that second thought in your mind is, oh, the wheel. Or 5-6 or 6-7.
You know what? Let's see if this is where MH does another overbet, knowing that he already showed a bluff.
You're right.
This might be when he pulls that lever.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what he did. He 3x'd the pot, or almost 3x. 2.5x.
This is a pretty gross spot.
It
for
is,
Corey.
because you know this ace, any ace is ranged with the action up till now.
He's going to pay him off. And
he's going to pay him, yeah.
Be looking at.
And it's very possible that early overbet bluff is what got him called there.
Yep. Good size pot, biggest pot so far.
Yep.
Not too many hands in. We're looking at hand number 9, Tony Romo. By the way, whenever I mention the hand number, I always throw a cowboy in there.
Hey, I'm with you on that. Oh yeah, you're this is why we're getting along here. I'm also a Cowboys fan.
A fishing cowboy, fishing fan, cowboy fan.
Yeah. Of course, our friend Dante, who commentates the stream, is
God bless
an Eagles
Dante.
fan.
Thinking about you, brother. Hope you're doing good.
Might be listening.
Oh, I'm sure he is. He told me he was going to grade my performance.
He's going to send you
Send me a report card.
Report card?
No, he would never do that.
No.
One of my favorite personalities in poker. Love playing with Dante. It's just always positive energy to every place he goes.
9-bit.
And that's all I'm going to say about that, Dante.
1-4.
You send me flowers now.
Got some suited broadways here and a suited connector for Kevin Y. But I have a pretty good size 3-bet here from MH. He is out of position. James contemplating if he wants to play King Queen out in position now. MH being in a small
MH
blind.
made such a strong play here. But those two tangled when they were sitting downstream of me in the 4 and 5 seat. They tangled quite a few times. And it was interesting to watch. Lets it go. Interesting.
Nice play by James.
Yeah, and a good play by MH. I mean, he had a hand that he wants to raise with, but he doesn't want to call with.
Yep.
So that's another recreational players. That's another key right there. King Jack suited. You don't overvalue it. You get beat by so many hands.
And especially if you're going to call a 4-bet, like in that case, don't do it out of position.
Yep. Yep.
Doesn't matter, just make me
Douglas, not ashamed to wear his Jets shirt.
Takes a lot of gumption to wear that shirt after watching them.
If you watch the morning sports shows like I do, all they talk about are the Jets and the Cowboys.
It's been Jets and Cowboys, which obviously I like hearing about my Cowboys. But,
Yeah, especially after.
and the Jets I actually find to be pretty entertaining just because it's kind of a dumpster fire.
It is. It is. It's. I call it demolition derby. You know, they get through, and you're like, oh, phew, and then the next lap around, they get crushed.
And did you see the highlight of the quarterback, Zach Wilson, tripping as he ran on the field just to play quarterback?
No, I did not.
It was up there with the butt fumble in terms of embarrassment.
Oh, man. And
Also.
you know that the New York fans are going to give him hell for that.
Well, they won't have too much opportunity because they announced they're playing his backup.
Yeah, I saw his
Friday.
interview, and he took it very well. Boy, you know, it's hard to be a fan of teams like Buffalo and the Jets and Detroit. Some of these teams that are good and are edging greatness, but it's just hard not to expect that the thing is going to go up, like you say, like a dumpster fire in the end.
Yeah. I actually honestly feel bad for Zach Wilson. He was pretty immature last year, but he seems like he's matured from a communication standpoint. He just hasn't played any better, really.
Yeah.
And he also, it's just a death sentence to a young quarterback if you're playing behind a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
He not only is he struggling, he has really no time to throw.
Yeah. Yeah. He has no time to make a decision.
And that's the part he's struggling with because by all accounts he has a great arm.
Yeah, he has the arm strength, that's for sure. You know, people are really, really hard, and I don't want to turn it into a cowboy show. I mean, we could. We wouldn't mind.
This is our chance.
We don't have to the New York Gent wouldn't like it very much if we did that. But and Dante's he's a Eagles fan, yeah. So we get to say anything we want right now. He was sending me pictures of the game. He went to the Cowboy game in Philadelphia.
I got those pictures as well. He had some great seats.
He did have some good seats. He had some really good seats. Kind of
envious.
But he told me most of the action was on the other end. So, but you know, that's one thing we never had a problem with Dak. Dak came into the league a fully formed human being.
Yep, absolutely.
And now a lot of it was credit to his mama, he always says, but he also didn't play for. He wasn't the red hot commodity.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that kind of predisposition.
Expectations.
Expectation. Yeah. So all right.
Wasn't he a third-round draft pick? So.
I
believe it was third.
Third or fourth.
Was it a little lower?
Yeah, out of Mississippi State.
I saw him play in college. And
yeah, I did too.
He was in person, and he was a man amongst boys. Yeah. He was a Heisman finalist, I believe.
Yeah, I think he made top 5. Yeah. Well, this is not anybody's board so far, if I saw those hands correctly. Both diamonds.
Doug ahead.
See if
just
somebody
king
gets
high.
something here. No. First one to bet wins.
I guess we haven't seen a big pocket pair yet.
No, we haven't.
Sevens is the biggest so far?
Yeah, sevens made a set, and we saw deuces make a set, which was unfortunate for Corey. But so Kevin does not bet, and Doug checks back.
It's possible I must have winning in. No.
One other thing to note, since we're playing 5-handed, and all these players will adjust, but they'll be opening a little bit more wide because you can do that in a slightly shorter-handed game.
Yeah. One of the things I've noticed, I'm not a bomb pot fan. I always call it effing bingo. I like playing with these level players.
Oh, right.
Because it's a lot more straightforward, and especially this short. You get a lot more cards in the deck. So you're likely to play, like, broaden your range also in that game. Yeah, I always, the people that play with me have always heard me say that bomb pots are a good night of Hold'em gone bad or a bad night of Hold'em gone good.
That is absolutely true. I can relate to that. I haven't actually heard it put that way, but can certainly relate. Yeah. I've had it make sessions and break them.
There's nothing that's more irritating to me than to work hard and to dig hard to get a double up. in my chip stack just to give it away to 2 river cards on bomb pots.
Yep.
Very irritating.
You drive away and you're like, I played great no limit hold'em,
Yeah.
and somehow
I'm down.
I didn't profit.
Yeah. Yeah. And for somebody that loves PLO,
Two calls.
it's even more irritating
Yeah.
because there's so much bad PLO in a bomb pot hand that wins. Oh, yeah, you won the top with a naked,
Four check.
naked pair. Good for you.
9 check.
Right, now James is going to take action.
It's like top pair, top kicker for
He's not going to
James.
get much in return, though. I mean, I guess there's a gut shot there for Doug. No spades
Two bet.
available.
4 fold, 9 fold.
Small value bet.
There's bomb pot.
So what do we got going on in the comments here? Once again, you're going to have to explain to me gamble all.
You can put in gamble all, and it'll take however many of the loyalty points you have in your account, and bet all of them up to 10,000. And if you get a number, I believe above 50, then you. Oh, here we go. Here's 1 to 50, you lose. Yeah, 51 to 75, you get your original bet back, and so on. It's just kind of a fun way to sort of play
Stay
along
engaged.
in the chat.
Yeah, sure. And we're bomb potting.
9 check.
Pretty uncoordinated board except for the king jack on top.
1 check.
Doug's got 2 blockers
2 check.
for the bottom draw.
4 check.
All right, so there's only 152 cards for us to look at here.
Yeah,
So.
Corey's got trip jacks.
Oh, there you go.
No friend.
1 call, 2.
No spade draw anywhere. Really, other than the diamonds. Well, clubs on the bottom.
Clubs miss.
King, queen made, no Broadway. King,
It's like
naked king on the
king,
bottom.
queen. Yeah.
Jack's good and king on the bottom is good. Yeah. Again, so many cards still in the deck.
Of course, we know he's ahead with the pair of kings, but
150.
not a very strong hand in double board PLO.
Now 5-6 beats him. Ace-5 beats him.
Right now, but 2 people.
Any set
All the
beats
sets,
him.
yeah.
Any 2-pair beats him.
Yeah.
Pretty much the world beats him. And he has not much that he can hang his hat on into the board either.
Yeah, I'm up a little bit.
Jacks and kings. Yeah, all the action is on the top. So
I kind of see. Well, the only reason Kevin might be able to call, and I'll admit I would be folding this hand,
oh, look at him.
and that's why he's better than I am.
Look at him.
But
Kevin, you
it's-
suck.
he
Oh
did
my
have equity on both
gosh.
boards
He
in
did.
theory.
He
So
did. And I guarantee you that's what he's thinking about.
I typically will only do that if the bet isn't a full pot bet.
Yeah.
What a blaster we got over there.
Yep.
Like if somebody bets,
I know if I was Corey, I would be cussing Kevin right now, but also kind of secretly admiring his
yeah, that was
production.
a nice call.
Yeah.
Yeah, if somebody, so what I guess I mean by that for the listener, so is if the pot is say $300 and somebody bets maybe only 100, I don't have to be right every time with my kind of marginal equity on both boards to turn a profit. But if somebody bets full pot, it can be very unprofitable to go ahead and call a full pot bet if you're only praying to have, that your opponent just has one board, which was the case there.
Yeah, well, that's my other issue with bomb pots is that I'll sit there and having sweat running down my face, and I'll look at my stack and go, oh, I made $35.
Bet 25.
I risk all my chips,
Yeah.
and or worse, you get quartered when you hit your card.
25.
I know I had a hand last week that I made top both, and got quartered.
Wow.
And you're like, oh, king 9. Oh, you got king 9, mother. You know,
Yeah.
you spend the next 5 minutes going, oh my gosh, I lost money on getting the exact card I wanted.
I think the other thing, and none of these players would I see making this mistake, but a common thing for people that don't play a lot of double board PLO or bomb pots is overvaluing straights. So to your point, that's a great way to get quartered.
Oh yeah, there's nothing I hate worse than making the wheel.
Yes.
And right after that is making Broadway, because you're guaranteed. Usually somebody that had some sort of suited play on the other board or on that same board. I know if there are 3 of us in a hand and I've got Broadway, somebody else has got it too.
Right.
And even when you're playing heads up with somebody at the end, they still might get a quarter in all of the other.
Right.
That's why it's always important to have some significant equity on the other board. But again, I leave that. We've got expert players that play all day here and play those bomb pots only. And if you want to learn how to play bomb pots, come during the day and play with guys like Kong and New York Mikey.
Plays a lot, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All those people, Brad, they will show you how to play. The Michelist, if you know Men.
Yes, I do.
Hot. Anybody that's ever played with him, and they will teach you how to play bomb pots. Yes, they will also they will ridicule you severely for playing a bomb pot badly, regardless of how it
I've come into that game a few times when just somewhat randomly, or maybe I'm waiting for a seat at a different table.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're
JB's another
experts.
one. JB, Jim Lamar, God bless him, one of my favorite human beings on the planet, legend. 97-year-old poker player. I will be 20 years in my grave at 97 because of poker.
Because of bomb pots.
Because of bomb pot. Yeah, exactly. What is worse feeling as a player, having your opponent hit a one-outer or shoving all in and realizing you're drawing dead? Pretty much, if you lose all your money, they're equal, is what I would say. If somebody hits a one-outer, I'm like, okay, fine. I got struck by lightning standing out in the field. I get it.
It's a pretty good question because they're relatively equal. If I had to pick one, I might say the one-outer hurts.
Well, we were talking about, we had one the other night where Kenny got the quad threes. And JR hit and all of us hurt. Except for JR.
Yeah,
he was hit the one-outer quad eights over quad threes. Even in PLO, that's no less painful. Kenny, if you're listening, Kenny, you took that really well. So you have my respect, brother. You went out. I heard your head hitting against the side of the wall, and then you came back in and played really well afterwards. So.
3.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to hear what everybody else in the chat says. What do you hate worst?
I think the only reason I picked the one-outer hurts worse because you can shove all in and be drawing dead, but maybe you just got cooler. You didn't really make a mistake. But if you get it in that far ahead and still lose, it just you can't even pat yourself on the back for
there's
playing well.
To me, it's equal because you have that moment of the reveal. As they always say, it's the reveal.
Yeah.
And the reveal is either the river or the guy rolls his cards over and you're like, and then you say "F me," to yourself, and you go and go to the bathroom for a little while or wash your head. But I know that hand with Kenny, quad over quad, especially the one-outer, he said later, he goes, it's just hard to lose to one-outer. I said, yeah, but Kenny, you got a one-outer.
Someone else asking.
You both got quads. So
You just got it a little sooner.
yes, you just poker just messed with you a little more than it did JR. JR, when he had top both.
He's not going anywhere, obviously.
He would have seen it as a cooler for you to have quads. So, there's a board that we can all love deeply. So,
Ace, ace, king, or
ace,
trip
ace,
aces.
ace.
Okay. It's a little blurry there for a second.
yeah, and
is a
Doug
pretty
is
board.
crushing James at this point. and nobody got anything. 9's going to be good.
Such a donation. Such a luck.
Obviously, this pot is worth every penny that's in the pot. $12.
No pair.
Oh, we didn't see who was in that hand. It only showed James and Doug.
Looks like we have a new player also.
Yes, we do, and that new player took that pot down all $12 of it. So who's the new player, Mel? We don't. Radio Dave. Oh, well, that's one on Russ. You know, again, we were talking about this today, KJ and I, the dealer, that how difficult this job is. Somebody's talking to you, and you got players talking to you. It's a very difficult, labor-intensive, brain-intensive thing to do.
It's like
Yes, yeah, muscle memory, yeah.
hello.
Mel, our esteemed producer, talking in the background.
Yeah.
8-bet 20.
Looks like we got Eric joining us from the south side of Chicago.
Oh,
Welcome,
Southie.
Eric.
Oh, that's Boston. That's right. White Sox fan is what that would be. Yeah, everybody was asking me about the Rangers because the first job I ever had, and I won't say when it was, 14 years old, was taking tickets to Arlington Stadium because I lived just a bicycle ride away.
Oh, that's cool.
So I've been suffering with the Rangers for a long, long time. And White Sox fans, they have a similar track record.
Ooh, they've had a really tough run.
Yeah.
Got a little bit of action here. Kevin with second pair with his pocket pair, and MH flops king high flush draw.
Yep. Second up flush draw.
Kevin not ready to fold yet. Don't blame him.
Is that like a derogatory term?
Blank on the turn. Actually, a good card for Kevin.
Yeah, it is a good card. He's not going to put KH on a 3. Jack certainly is in range.
MH trying to decide if he's going to semi-bluff here. Feel like that could be likely.
He will, it seems, after watching him play with him, err on the side of caution.
He is sticking with his overbets. Goes almost 2x.
So this is
the mental
conversation in
duel.
Kevin's head. Yeah.
Kevin, let's see if he decides that he knows that MH knows that he knows that he.
Yeah. Yeah. Is he thinking? Oh, and he lets it go.
And he lets it go, so it works. Gets him to fold the best hand.
This is the funny thing about. I won't say that people will tell you what happened in the hand, but it always cracks me up when somebody from the cash game who's watching will come over before you get a chance to 15 minutes after the play and said, yeah, you got pushed off that hand. I'm like, I don't want to think about that
Right.
But at the same time, I do. Obviously, it's good information. But
could you tell me after the
yes.
session?
Yeah, let me analyze that when I do my breakdown later. These two are going to duel a lot.
This is
sitting
great.
next to each
Yeah.
other, especially in position, like they just were.
Got suited 10 jack, pretty hand for MH, very playable.
And one of my favorite hands, 10-8 of hearts is my all. You know, everybody says, well, aces are my favorite hand. It's like that's like saying Raquel Welch is my,
What
would be my girlfriend. I'm sorry.
I
That's
think
way
you just
before
aged
your time.
yourself
Yeah,
a
I
little there.
totally did.
What is your
Salma Hayek? Is that a little better?
That's better. What is your non-premium favorite hand? Is it
10-8 suited, yeah.
Yeah.
10-8 of hearts specifically, but 10-8 suited. And I've even said that to people when the board's come out in my favor and I'm in position and they're thinking about calling me. I'll say, you know, I'm playing my favorite hand. And the ones that have played with me a lot,
they know that's what
I can. But of course, they also know I'll leverage that when it's not true. And there's finally somebody gets there, but unfortunately,
both of them.
The spades came in.
Both with the second pair. MH better kicker.
Another distinction from the more sedate recreational players, more even middle tier, is that these players know what the possibility of 3 cards flushes are.
Right.
And they're much more likely to be sticky with just 3 cards to a flush out there. Whereas recreational players, 1-2 players, will always assume the other person just got there.
Yes.
Or at least be afraid of it.
Yep.
Something which
I totally
you can
agree.
use in your favor, you know.
Yeah, a bad way to play poker is to always assume if a bad turn card or river card comes, that automatically, that was the hand that your opponent was
And they also
chasing.
have a tendency then to, because their fears are what dominate them as opposed to their hopes and aspirations, to not use it.
Yeah.
You know, you can also say, oh, you know, if the other person you know is a person that's going to be thinking about what your potential hands are, well, you can lever it both ways. Well, I could have Jack 10 spades here, you know.
I think it's just hard to change.
Yeah, if I see somebody that seems to be folding maybe a little too often, if a really scary river turn card comes out, I'm pretty likely to raise them. Because unless that was their hand, they almost never continue.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it's kind of funny, too, because when you pull off that move and you see them, they shake their head and look at you in disgust and say,
You
well,
got there,
of
you
course
lucky."
you got there on
Yeah.
me, and you're sitting there with air.
Yes. Yeah, that's, you know, okay, so that's the opposite question of what we said earlier, what was asked earlier about which do you hate worse, you know, having your opponent hit a
9 raise, 125.
1-outer or, you know, drawing dead. Okay, so what is your favorite hand to win that you absolutely don't have any business with? Is it that I've got air and I leveraged?
Well, it's either a soul read hero call, maybe, or
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
when I get away with a big bluff with nothing,
Yeah.
when I identified that the player wouldn't be able to,
They're not going to be able to call me.
they're
if
not
I
going to
do.
be able to call
Yeah.
me even with maybe even as strong as 2 pair, because they just assume that I have the straight or the
Yeah.
flush.
Especially when that river card it brought in everything.
Right.
The flush and the straight. Or the person was playing the straight and it brought in the boat or the flush. Yeah.
And of course, the best time to do that is if you have a hand that doesn't complete either but blocks your opponent having that.
Sure.
A little bit more likely to get away with it. I'm not.
I think I'm going to have to agree with it. I was going to say it's. I think the hero call, which it's addictive. So
Yeah.
it can also
Yeah.
cost you in the long run.
That's
But
true.
having the confidence, it's such a confidence boost to say, you know what, I've got third or fourth pair here, but I just never am putting that person on the way this hand ran out to have gotten there. Matter of fact, I think that dead card at the end where nothing got through, and then making the call. The other thing I really love is when somebody says, "What were you floating there?" And I'll say, "A bad attitude."
It's a good comeback for
and
that.
they hate it because it's like, really,
Actually, when I first started playing here, there was a player. Do you remember Renee?
Yeah.
He was a lover of the float, and it used to drive me nuts because he would always float me in position, and it just made it very difficult to play against.
Yeah.
Here's a premium, Kevin.
There's our first big pair. Let's see if
With
he
the
gets any
kings.
action. Not much. Doug will play ace deuce for that much suited. Kevin's got a club blocker as well.
Doug might even be thinking Kevin's just playing the button aggressively. I
Is there
wouldn't be-
anything better than, well, maybe getting in a big blind, getting kings in the button?
Yeah, he does make a call.
And of course, as I always say,
Brutal flop
it's
for
like
Kevin.
16% that you get an ace on the board when you play kings. It's 90%.
And the irony here too is, even though technically 3 of a kind is stronger than obviously top pair, Kevin knows that 2 aces out there make it less likely that Doug has an ace.
Yep.
So he might even be happy to see the second ace.
So the Doug gave him the Doug frown.
Yeah, the
You
Doug.
know the Doug frown?
Yeah, I've just got nothing.
Yeah, either it's that or gas. I always tell Doug. I said, are you frowning because you didn't get it or because you got gas? What is it?
Kevin's not going to fall for it.
So smart.
We'll see if Doug checks the river. Just the perplexed look there from Doug.
Yeah, like, wow, I can't believe we got
He's going to
here.
go ahead and bet it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go ahead and take a shot. Look.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have to bet.
I guess my queen is good.
I can't keep checking it.
And that's Kevin and Doug play with each other a lot. So Kevin's gone into the distance in his mind.
Pretty, and you know, it's also detrimental to Kevin that there's a front door flush that missed. Possibility that Doug would have been. Of course, Doug probably would have bet a flush draw.
Yeah,
by now.
Yeah. I think
So-
I'd eliminate him from that just because although with 2 aces, a flush draw might not bet. Unless
Yeah.
he's trying to appear to have an ace. I mean, you know, these guys, the fact that they got to here without any post-flop action.
This is a pretty tough spot for Kevin. I mean, and
I think, honestly, I think Kevin is going to fold this hand.
wow.
Yeah, I've seen Kevin make, and look at Doug, gives him the look like, you son of a gun. Kevin makes the best folds. And sometimes people will say, I can't believe you didn't call with that. And he'll look at me and say, you folded second pair there? Because I'll say what I have. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
Kevin, you would have folded 5 minutes before I folded.
Yeah, he's a tough player.
Oh, he is.
Just in this one session, we've seen him be right in
A lot.
pretty close spots.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
With
he's,
the one
he's 2 for
exception.
3 in tough situations.
Exactly.
I mean, he made one call on MH when, or he folded to MH on one that was a bluff after calling off a bluff.
And honestly, it was probably only because it happened so early in the session. He didn't have a kind of feel for how MH was playing yet.
Yeah.
I could see if after 3.5 hours of this stream, he might get away from that as well.
Yeah, I think I know when I first started playing the larger games, you know, 2-5, and I tell people all the time, 2-5 in Austin is not 2-5.
It's 10-20.
10-25.
places.
Yeah, I agree. So you may not have as many chips in front of you, but it's a tough game. And at the beginning, I did well at the beginning, and I did worse towards the end. Although in analyzing the hands, I'm like, well, I didn't really have that much drop-off in quality of hands. And I realized it's because I had too much in my head. I was going with my hand and what I thought the situation was more cleanly in the beginning. So sitting down with people for 4+ hours and playing, at the end, you've got a lot of complex thoughts in your head about each player at the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
Don't
and
talk about
sometimes
poker, just fill the chat with Sorry, what is that?
not sure what that means.
I don't know either.
That was speaks truth.
Speaks truth confusedly. All right, speaks truth. Explain yourself.
Suited ace for MH and win 17 bucks. Probably somewhat okay with that.
Yeah, probably fine with that. Well, again, we haven't had any other players come to the table, which is a little disappointing. But a holiday week.
Holiday week, and potentially we'll have some more because we're aware there's a pretty lively game that was already in progress here at the club. It has a few players, and if that table breaks, we're told, probably have some additions here.
Yep. And those of you that are sitting at home, get in the car. Come on. You've got how many hands? 30 hands, and I don't have a cowboy for number 30. I can't believe it. Yeah, 30. just like drawing total blank, and I don't draw blanks for Cowboy numbers.
I can't think of a number 30 either.
Yeah, that's as far back as I go back with the Cowboys. I'll pull back some 70s.
Some old ones.
Some old school. Yeah. 31 I can do, but 30 I can't. But, you know, you got 30 hands you've watched, and you've got these players pegged now, so come on up and take advantage of your information. Happy Holiday Monday, y'all. I hope everyone having a great day. Thank you, Red Reaper. We are. We are having a good day. I could say honestly, we had Thanksgiving Friday with my mom.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she just the way the schedule worked out, and I am going to spend Thanksgiving Day with a pizza from whoever delivers, watching football.
Watch some football.
For 12 hours. And I'm really looking forward
Sounds
to
like a great day. Thanksgiving is actually my favorite holiday.
it. No. Oh, we got square game going? I used to love that when I was a kid. All my relatives on Thanksgiving would do squares. You know, that where you get numbers to match the football game.
Oh, yes, yes.
I loved squares as a kid.
that is fun. Yeah.
The value bet, right?
See, like, I don't know, like, you got layers.
You're out of position.
We have had some hands like this. I mean, the queen is not comfortable right now. But he made a bet and got it through for 100.
Said I have cool shades. I'm going to bet and win.
So 31. Got a number? Got a player? Roy Williams?
Was he 31?
Yeah.
The Oklahoma great?
Yeah. Yep.
That he was such an
what
incredible
a monster.
player in college and in the NFL.
Well, in the NFL, I mean, he had 4 years there where he was scary.
Yeah.
I mean, he would just clock people.
He was the size of a middle linebacker
Yeah,
playing
he really
free
was.
safety.
You see a lot of the guys like yesterday, last night's game. You see the safeties being pulled in middle linebacker positions, and yeah, he was a monster. So,
Looks like we got a bunch of folks here viewing. A few folks in the chat.
84, is that right?
Since, as you mentioned, Uncle T, with Thanksgiving coming up, what is everyone's favorite holiday? And I can say mine is Thanksgiving.
Really?
I like to eat. I don't love receiving gifts, really.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
So, but I do love to eat and be around friends and family. So,
You know, it used to be my favorite until all my relatives moved out of the area. And it's the worst for traveling. It's great if you've got people close to you that just could come over. But getting on the highways or the roads at Thanksgiving, forget about it.
3 or 4 years ago, I saw this.
I love the holiday itself. My Aunt Suzanne used to put out a spread. Oh, my gosh.
oh yeah.
And she was the greatest aunt in the world because she was a huge Cowboys fan.
Oh, that's.
She
yeah.
was an Oilers fan, and then she became a Cowboys fan, and so she would plan the meal around the game time. So my mom, on the other hand, would plan the meal for the game time.
That's awesome. Actually, tying two things together, I basically became a Cowboys fan on Thanksgiving when I was 10 years old, maybe slightly younger. I was finally old enough that I didn't go play with my cousins outside, and I watched the game with my grandpa, my dad, my uncles.
Yeah.
And then I got Dallas Cowboys sweats for Christmas from a
Nice.
different uncle. And then we won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls.
Oh,
So I was
early
like, my
90s.
team,
Yeah.
my team always wins.
That'll lock you up.
I've been sorely disappointed for quite a few years here.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, I tell people, I guess because I'm older, it doesn't bother me very much. Because now I know how hard it was. You're right. In the early 90s. And I had the 70s, too, because I was the age you were. And I had those great teams in the 70s. And then you go 10, 15 years before it happens again, and you realize how difficult it is. And then you have people that you know that are friends with the Lions or the Bills.
Oh, yeah.
Or, or Denver until
brutal.
John and
Yeah.
and you're my friend John, my roommate from college, he was a long-standing Broncos fan, and he was in the same thoughts as the Bills. We're never going to win it. Now it's much easier to take.
I'd say it's easier to take, but I also would say that I certainly will appreciate it more if or when it does happen.
Yes.
Because you know, to your point, how hard it is.
Yeah. That's what the Rangers did for me. I was at Texas Guardhouse when they won that game to lock up the World Series, and it was overwhelming. I had since 1972 when the Rangers came from Washington with Ted Williams in tow as the manager. That tells you the context.
Oh, wow.
And I was just a 10-year-old. And I had from 72 to 2023
before it happened.
as a fan.
That's a pretty good while.
I mean, that is epically long. It's not like Chicago Cubs long.
I was about to say,
Red Sox
not
long.
quite like that, or The Red Sox are the most baffling one to be in that market and to not win for that long.
Oh yeah, and to have
All
the
the great
Yankees right
players.
down the road to blame for it for the majority
Yeah.
of those times.
That's like everybody
Yeah, that's decent thing.
according to last week's stream.
Yep, I was a Mets fan because Nolan Ryan, when I was a little kid, we knew who Nolan Ryan was when I was pretty young. My dad was a fan, and he goes to the Mets and wins the Miracle Mets. So the Mets have been my other team all my life.
Oh, cool.
And they were doing fine in the 80s and even later, obviously. So it made it even harder because they weren't my primary team.
One of huge fan of Nolan Ryan growing up, and
I was at his 700.
I had probably one of my sports highlights is I was at a Rangers tryout, and he watched me take batting practice standing right at the cage.
I wouldn't have been able to hit the ball. I would have whiffed.
It was I couldn't believe it was happening.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously, I did not end up on the Rangers, but it was fun. And it's
Oh, that's
great
funny.
memory.
I didn't end up on the Cowboys either. So
couple little quick hands there. We had Doug won a small one with a pair of jacks. Nobody really able to defend. I'll pay him off.
How do you ever have an ace here? He like mucked his hand when he mucked.
And we have aces for Doug, of course. He is going to raise. First pair of aces of the night.
That guy cold four bet you, man. I was
And another sad muck from Doug.
well, that's the worst thing about aces next to having a crack.
Yes.
Not making any money off it. Well, he didn't do that.
But actually, I one of my top worst feelings in poker is getting a walk with aces.
Oh,
That's just such a. It feels
horrible.
almost worse than a bad beat.
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
I'll never forget. I was in a wild 2-5 game here a while back. I mean, straddles every hand. I'm in the straddle. I finally wake up with aces, and at the time I was playing up. So I was like, "Oh, here we go." And I look at my cards before it's my turn, just so I have a little bit more time to think about what I'm
I
going to
do
do.
too.
I don't quite understand the waiting until it's your turn so everybody can stare at you and see what your action is.
I'm very glad to hear somebody younger say that because it
Yeah,
drives
I
me a
don't-
little wacky.
It's well the
and you see
theory-
more hands than anybody.
Well, the theory is supposed to be that you don't let people see what your reaction was before they react.
Right.
But it's like, unless you have a wild tell when you look at your cards,
Yeah.
all you're doing is buying. And also, everybody else is looking at the action. They're not looking at you.
Exactly.
So I think just look at your cards when you receive them. You buy a little extra time to think about what you want to do when it's your turn.
Yeah.
And nobody's paying attention to you.
No.
Look at your cards already.
No, unless you've got poker Tourette's.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, that's what I
Yeah.
call it when somebody
Yeah.
just can't seem to not reveal what they play their hands face up. Yeah, I totally agree. Now, I will absolutely stare somebody down. Post flop, big bet,
Oh, yeah.
Jam. I will absolutely, even if I know I'm going to fold, I will make them sweat through
Right.
the gaze. And I actually had a player last week say, "Stop doing that. I mean, that pisses me off." And I'm like, I'm at the age where I don't really care how you.
Yeah, can you give me a soul
And I wasn't trying to be an a-hole,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's really true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. You know, back to what you were saying. It's like I don't get it, and I see a lot of younger players do it, and they do a lot of the same things that they see on TV.
Well, and and the other thing too is, well, post flop, I certainly look at players because if they, you know, look at their cards and immediately look at their chips, they like their their initial reaction is that they're going to bet.
Yep.
If they have 7 deuce offsuit, they already know they're throwing it in the muck. And then there's some other, I think probably the most reliable tells, especially at the lower stakes, is how somebody puts chips in the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite one is the hand shaking when the person bets. That, at least in my opinion, this has been true. I'm curious if you would agree in your experience, but that a lot of people misinterpret that for nervousness.
No, it's strength.
It's excitement.
It's excitement.
It's they can't control the adrenaline rush because they just turned a full house.
Yes.
And
yes. It's it can be nervousness because they don't know what to bet, but I almost always take it as straight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and unless somebody, I'll watch them, and if their hands naturally shake a little bit, maybe too much caffeine or whatever, then you kind of have to dismiss it a little bit.
Right.
My favorite is the very quick bet.
Oh, right.
That's always straight.
Yep.
Or if they're kind of a bluffy gambling player, it's weakness.
Yep. Yeah, because they're trying to forcefully get you to fold.
Yeah.
And then there's the people that they take a while when they're folding, and then they bet quick because they already know they have a strong hand. There's actually, in fact, doing the commentary, there's a couple players that will remain nameless that frequently do that. And it's very obvious. I'm sure, of course, we can see the cards and know that, and I'm sure everybody that watches it back obviously ends up that was in the game. But most of these players, especially at this table, are going to pick up on that.
Yeah, and it also it's also about ego, and this is a male thing. I always give the female poker players more credit for having a better understanding of their own emotions than probably others, because men are dunces when it comes to emotional maturity, or for the most emotional wisdom for the most part. Typically, there's some that aren't, but there's the ego play. When I see somebody do something and they're an ego player, I just can't wait to get a hand in them later on, because I know their tells are probably straighter and more predictable, and they'll eventually, the ego players will say this: "I knew you had blah blah blah."
Oh yes,
that's one of my favorite things that people says, because I'll always come back with my line. Honestly, if you were clairvoyant, I think you'd be a better poker player. Like really, you knew I had jacks. Then why did you call me? There's nothing crazier to me. You called me and lost the hand, and you're like, "Oh, I knew you had a king."
Yeah.
Well, then why did you call me?
Why did you put more money in the pot? Yeah, that actually is a pet peeve comment of mine, actually.
Oh, is it?
It's like, well, just because a lot of people will do it as a way to I guess, diminish. Like it's a way to cover their embarrassment, maybe.
Yeah, and diminish your skill.
Yeah, and diminish your skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing I like better.
I never make comments like that.
I don't mind it coming from a player that I just want to pot from. What I really get peeved at is somebody else at the table that wasn't in the hand.
Oh, yes. That's
poker coaches,
sure.
I call them. There's nothing that will get under my skin faster than a poker coach.
Right.
Because, your poker coaching is worth every penny everybody's paying for it. And if you're really a good poker player, you wouldn't offer advice because you want to keep that information for yourself.
The people that coach on the fly, it's entirely an ego thing. I don't ever say something that could improve somebody's game while I'm at the table with them. Yeah. If I see them later, maybe.
Yeah.
If we're friends or whatever, but.
Well, people, I think because of my age, they overestimate my capabilities, which is a thing. But they'll come and say, "Well, what would you say about? What do you see in my game? What do you think I should do?" And I'll say, "Don't play so many hands against me."
Yeah.
And they're always like,
"What?"
And like, but I think generally it's kind of a rule recreational players should play less hands.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
that's-
absolutely.
So that advice is not worth much. But
Yeah, I mean, most, and we've got pair of nines are good here for Kevin, but
hey, Poker
James.
Robot, we just got a shout out. What's going on, fellas? I assume they're talking to us.
hey,
My goal in every game.
Poker Robot. I'm trying to think if I should know who that is.
they have a very small picture.
Yeah, and it looks like
As long as Corey's in the
not
game,
a
it's
person.
like, I'm already like, my progress is like immediately up.
Maybe a person at a restaurant. Poker Robot, what is your picture of? Is it a robot?
Two calls, showdown. Then 9 induced.
Well, that would be Kevin Y. I've told him that before. You're a robot. Behind that mask is nothing but artificial mechanical stuff.
Poker AI.
Poker AI.
I regretted the value.
Take a moment here to tell y'all about our promos here for November. So start off with this one. This is a great offer. I believe they did this here at TCH last year. I took advantage. So
Yeah, they just refired it back up.
absolutely, it's a great deal. If you play on Tuesday, you get 50% off your time. So if you've never played at TCH, the way it works is you can pay for a monthly or yearly membership to join the club, and after that, you just pay an hourly rate to be at the table. There's no rake, so no money comes out of your pot or off the table, and we'll be at 50% every Tuesday this November.
Yep. Also, I noticed that you have an opportunity to do a flash sale, I believe, this Friday. So, and one of the things that I believe Jerome, our esteemed floor at the time, is it that one?
Yep.
Black Friday. Yep, flash sale, and you can call that in. So if you're going to be traveling,
Yep.
if you're going to be out of town, I believe Jerome said, now, if somebody probably comes running into this, no, Tom, but I believe you can call that in. That's another great deal. Yeah, $300 gets you $450. That's $150 savings. I always do those. I kick myself when I don't. There's nothing better than when you have a bad night and you don't have to pay going out the door.
I was
One of my
telling a
favorite
friend
things.
that, yes, there's nothing quite feels worse than losing and then having to pay when you leave. Fortunately, the rates here are very reasonable at the card house, but if you're a frequent player, you certainly want to take advantage of this deal. It'll save you a lot of money in the long run.
Yep.
I'm hearing all of
Yeah, I call that the credit card
You
shame.
didn't hear it?
When you have no cash
Yeah.
and you walk
Credit
out,
card
I'm
shame, yeah.
using the credit card.
The worst is if you use all the electronics. If you have to use the ATM and the credit card
That's
machine.
the double dip.
And yeah, you don't want to have the double E night.
Yep.
All right, we got a suited connector here for Kevin. Y, Corey with queen 10, a couple of queen 10s. James suited.
That's what I'm saying. The only time I ever heard
He
all
said it like
that
5
is
times.
So we're an hour and 13 minutes into it.
They're just going to get muted.
Hand 43. You know this one?
It is not.
Dallas
Ship it is
Cowboy
not an actual bet.
This is way before your time.
Never invented.
Okay, I'm going to leave this one to you.
So there was Cliff Harris and Charlie Waters, 41 and 43.
Wow.
They were our version of the safeties.
Okay.
Played with Mel Renfro.
I do know that.
Well,
Mel
he's a
Renfro.
Hall of Famer. yeah, he's Ring of Honor, dude. Cliff and Charlie were mine because I played safety when I was very young.
So did I.
Did you really? Yeah, they always wanted the faster little guys to play the safety positions. Of course, back then there were not cornerbacks. That tells you something about what happened.
Wow, that does tell me
Yeah,
something.
we were always on coverage, and
Yeah.
they usually had one wide out. So
Potted setting is not a bet.
split in, something you didn't also.
No, I played I played split in and free safety in high school.
Nice. And they call this free and strong.
Okay.
Charlie was the strong safety or the free safety, and Cliff Harris was the strong safety back in those great 70s teams. Mel was, of course, an all-world quarterback at the time. By the way, Ron Bland.
I mean, I like to see it, but
Oh yeah, I know the name.
He got another interception for a touchdown yesterday. This is the one that took over Diggs.
Oh yeah.
Having
He's
a
playing
fantastic
pretty
week.
decent.
Yeah. Well, if he gets one more pick six, he sets the National Football League record. All-time.
Wow.
5.
The rules that change determine
Yeah.
what his cash is basically.
That one kind of snuck up on me. I knew he had a few.
Yeah.
He got 4, which tied him for the all-time record. He's got 7 games to break the all-time record.
Showdown all-ins are always going to be exposed.
It's great to have him step in because Gilmore on the other side is
He's really
very strong
a great
player.
acquisition, especially with Diggs going out.
I think it is. I don't know.
Yeah, thank goodness they got him if giving the lost Diggs.
Yeah, everybody
All I
asked
know
me
is
why
that
did they
you
lose
have to
that
go based off
Cardinals
of your
game. I said they were in
fundamental foundation
Trayvon
rules
aftershock.
surprised they
I
even
think
have
that
that wording.
him being
If
injured
they have
that
that
Friday
wording,
before the
it's
game
like
really,
every
boy,
word
he's
out
such a team leader. All right, sorry to all the non-Cowboy
2 fold, 3
fans.
fold, 4 fold.
Actually, I'm not sorry.
You can catch Uncle Tom and I on ESPN
Uncle
tomorrow
T.
talking Cowboys.
Really? Oh gosh, we have to put up with a lot of commentary from people who hate Cowboys. It's the price of being a Cowboy fan and
At 30,
having all those
$2
championships and
$1,000. So it'll be
having to listen. I feel sorry for the people that have to get up and listen to get up.
Yeah,
And it's 90% about the Cowboys.
yeah. If you're,
That's got to get old.
I'm love it every time because I get to hear about my team.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see, yeah, if you're a Denver Broncos fan, well, they may not be the best example.
If you're like a Detroit Lions fan, and
Yeah,
and
you're not
getting
gonna get a
some
whole lot.
airplay because they've got a good team and they're doing great, and everybody wants them. And Dan Orlovsky has obviously got ties, but yeah, it's got to get really, really old.
Yeah.
1 fold, 2 fold.
I was happy though, the Redskins. See how
It's
low
they were at one
they
point.
were. The Commanders lost yesterday, so that's always a good day for me.
Quick win there with MH, no action for his ace-10. And we move on to
No. I was just joking.
hand 47.
If you were to put it out, then
Mel, is there any way for us to look at who's up?
If it's out, it's announced in the last
Oh,
part.
the stats. Asking our producer with this new software, folks. Oh, Radio Dave wakes up just to see who's up, who's down. Kind of the money leaders, which is always to me the most important statistic.
1 fold.
I guess maybe I've just missed the one when it's come up with. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out for it.
2 folds.
No, you do you, boo-boo.
If you verbalize 1,
Okay.
it'll be a mid.
Okay, thank you.
3 bet.
Looks like we got a
here's
couple big
hand.
pairs.
Yeah.
Yep. Tens versus queens.
Tens have been good to me lately.
Hit a few sets.
Yeah, I have. Tens and fives. It's funny how they come in clumps.
Oh, isn't
Sets.
it? Yeah,
And then you'll get 2 or 3 of the same kind. You're like, okay, I'm going to play that one.
Min bet, sorry, $5.
got a raise from Radio Dave. Kevin, of course, called with his tens. Bad flop here for Kevin.
Yeah,
He's
it is.
got 3 undercards to his tens. Still way behind Dave.
3 bet 150.
Certainly can't fold here unless he just reads Radio Dave's soul.
Especially for that bet. You get the pot up to 500 now, and you're thinking about what am I going to raise, or what am I going to raise with, what am I going to call.
Ooh, it does not help Kevin. He needed a king or an ace there to jack to bail him out.
At the same time, Radio Dave has got to think about, he's under the gun.
Like if there's like 2,000.
Kevin's in the cutoff.
$1,000 chip, it's probably going to be.
Neither one of them are playing blinds.
Because pot size is 2K.
He makes a big bet. 300?
Yeah, I feel like they more.
3 to 400? 300?
300? 300 into
Yep, 300.
500, so a 2/3 bet.
I think it has to do a lot with, like I said, that pot size.
Kevin's like, the way the action's gone with him, he's got to be thinking this could be ace, king, ace, queen, king, queen suited. So many things that I'm ahead of. He's more ahead here than behind. This may save
That
him.
will help.
Like I said, I know in tournaments, I believe it is.
Radio Dave hates that card.
Yeah, this may be check.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Kevin's absolutely going to check back,
Check, check.
and he does.
I don't know if I
Bad
remember.
news.
Probably not.
$1,100 pot.
Got the bad news, but probably saved him a riverbed of maybe $400 to $500. So
I agree. Yeah, he's going to call off there.
Well, it's hard because like there's so many rules.
Yeah, if that comes out, you know, a 9, an 8, anything,
So really, it's just
even a jack, I think he would call.
doesn't matter if it's in print, doesn't matter if it's anywhere. The last thing every pot
one of the biggest pots of the night, as would typically be expected with that.
Yeah,
Those
with
two
kind of
hands and that
starting
run out.
hands. Yeah. They really haven't had any of that. That's the first
That's-
hand we've had premium versus semi-premium.
Right.
A lot of it is just we're hosting for y'all, so it's at the end of the day kind of like
And then we go back.
we're not going to ruin the integrity, but also at the same time, y'all hosting.
Real life poker.
Yeah, walk.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Let's
No.
move right on along when we have
In the end of
Garbage.
the deuce to 7 tournament,
No, that's always been a
the blinds were so high, you were just praying you were a big blind. 'Cause
it's like literally the last
you just prayed that you get them all. Because it's like a huge advantage.
Oh yeah.
At one point, Jeffrey looked at us and said there are 30 blinds on the table with 5 players left. That kind of tells you where
That's
the tournament
wild.
was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
general, but it's like there were 30 big blinds.
9 to
Huh?
30.
I did. I won it. I just got a fist pump from our, went heads up with, oh gosh, who was I heads up with? Jeff went out in 4th.
4 bets. 175.
No, it was Jeff. That's right. Jeff was 2nd. That's right. Yeah. Oh. Well, yeah. That's like all poker. Being patient is the hardest thing to do. Tournament poker, especially, you get a final table. You're in the final 5 or 6. You have to be patient.
9 range.
Now you widen your range, which deuce to 7 means I'll take 2 instead of just taking 1 all the time. But yeah, it's about patience. And at the end, Jeff made fun of me at the end because I got 8-7. I drew 2 and got 8-7, 87. Reduced to 7 players, you know what that means? And I said, is my 87 good? And he said, is your 87 good? We're playing heads up. Of course your 87's good. But, you know, it's kind of one of those games with bad news comes in waves.
Interesting hand here developing. We got
Yeah, sorry.
all good. But interesting spot here for Doug. He's been raised by MH out of position with ace-queen offsuit. We know he's got him dominated, but
Yeah.
that does look very strong. What do you do post-flop if you put this much in? Looking at the stack sizes.
And he folds it. So let me ask you, because I know what my thought process is with ace queen. It's a polarizing hand in your own mind. What are you thinking about there? How are you thinking? How about? Does he have what I need already, like queens or aces?
Yeah, I'm thinking, and first of all, I would have done the same thing Doug did, because he's out of position, so that devalues your hand a bit. You have ace-queen offsuit, you could be dominated by ace-king. You also have an unpaired hand, so you're going to put 425 out there, you're out of position. If you don't hit a pair on the flop, now what? You're going to check, the guy's going to bet, and you're going to have to get away from your hand. So I just don't think there's a lot of equity in playing it out of position for that much money pre-flop when even if you hit your hand, you might still be crushed. That's my thought. What about you?
That's pure. So the reason I asked that question, because I figured we were aligned on that, is for recreational players. That when you're playing an ace-queen offsuit into a strong 4-bet, out of position, go away.
Yep.
I mean, that hand is overvalued in your position already.
Yep.
And it depends, of course, on what you bet and what the 4-bet is. But it's like Kevin and I talk about this. We'll see somebody play King Jack offsuit, and we're like, that's a bad hand. With the action that went on before the flop, that's a bad hand. Okay, they got lucky, and it justifies their actions in their own minds.
Right. Yeah.
But that
in
is a
their own mind.
recreational
Yeah.
thought that you should. There are hands that I play that I'm going to dismiss as a good thing. I won the hand, but it was not.
Right. You know you got away with one. It probably
Right.
wasn't the right way to play it.
Yeah.
I obviously totally agree. And I think the hardest thing also, going back to the kind of recreational thing, is ace queens gets your blood pumping a little bit
Yeah.
when you first look down, because you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I have a
Especially
strong
when
hand.
you're card dead for a while.
Exactly. If you've been sitting there card dead, you're happy to see a big ace, but
Yeah.
you can really get yourself in trouble. And this,
That's the mental discipline that you've got to have that I don't have, besides getting too sticky sometimes, is I'll go through a long span of being card dead, like we were talking about with the deuce to 7. And that's where I'll get up sometimes. Maybe I'll leave a premium hand that I can get up, but I'll get up, go outside, and
take a little
time
mental
to go,
breather.
okay, it's a new day. Forget the last 45 hands that you've got king 3, and go back in, reset.
Yep.
Because you'll overplay ace queen, you'll overplay king 10, which is not a good hand.
Right. Yeah. Or
queen 9.
you'll decide that you can outplay people with a suited connector when you're in position, and start putting money in the pot with all these speculative hands.
Yep.
Yeah. If I do that, and of course the rates are very affordable here at TCH, but so I try not to be away from the table for too long, but I will go down to Mooney's, maybe have myself some lunch or dinner, and then come back
It's a big gym.
after
it's
a
gyms
nice
for me.
cheesesteak, and I'm ready to play again.
Yeah, I go down to gyms and have some.
You go to
waffles.
gyms? Yeah, I like gyms also.
I was kind of raised on gyms, and I moved to San Antonio years and years ago, 2005. Gyms was one of my favorite places to go and clear my brain. By the way, all of you that don't enjoy Thanksgiving as much as Kyle, Card House will be open at 6 p.m., giving the employees a little time to enjoy their Thanksgiving. And, of course, all the employees at Texas Card House are Cowboys fans, so they'll get to see the game.
We just got a
I'm
thumbs
getting
down
the thumbs down.
from Mel, the producer.
I guarantee I'll hear it from all sorts of people, Clay being the big one, the San Francisco fan. But we will be open at 6 p.m. And what could make a day more perfect than tryptophan, Cowboys win, Texas Card House?
Doesn't sound like it could be better.
No, that is Christmas early.
Yeah.
So, maybe an exaggeration. I'm like you. I don't really like getting gifts either. I love giving gifts.
Yeah, giving gifts is nice. Yes, and
I tell whether it's my best friend Eva or the women in my life, don't worry about it. Get me something that you think is cute for me. My dad, it was always chocolate covered shirts. That's all he wanted.
yeah,
He didn't want any of the gifts. He didn't
Yeah,
want to have to act happy about something that he thought was horrible that you gave him. Sock, whatever. Now my daughter always does a real good job.
So speaking of producer Mel a moment ago,
Producer
she's let us know that here on hand 52 we have frozen to just the overhead camera, so we're not going to see whole cards.
There's no faces out there that are particularly good to look at anyway.
Don't need to see the
okay
faces.
with that. If you would like, we could switch to the booth camera, which is definitely the best two-looking guys involved in this production. So
We are told that we'll get the whole cards here.
all right, there's a good number, 52. Cowboy.
You're really making me feel
Stretch it.
like a
This is your
deficient
teams
fan.
of the 90s. Undersized linebacker.
Bill Bates?
No, that was 40. No, a true linebacker,
Okay.
not a nickel.
The 90s.
Also,
I know
I'll give you a
I'm going
hint.
to be.
His first name was synonymous with an HBO series about a serial killer. Dexter.
Oh,
Bad juju.
I'm going to be upset when you tell me the answer, but go ahead.
Dexter Coakley.
Dexter Coakley, yes. I definitely remember him.
Yeah, Dexter was an undersized linebacker that played with speed and effort. He would
God, I
have fit
haven't
into
thought
the
about
modern
his name in
system
a
really well.
very long time. But yeah, I certainly remember him.
He would play on the opposite side of Ken Norton, to the outside of Ken Norton on the weak side. And I liked him
team.
as a player. Like that high.
5'10".
All right, so we're back to being able to see these.
I like it, I just
spaces. Maybe we're having to see.
1bet 30.
By the way, Corey is wearing a hat. It's KUTX. There's a radio station named QTX.
Oh, so
Do you know that radio station?
of course.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Is it an Austin station?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So that's a real deal. It was not.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, really? That's cuts?
I don't know why they would call it that, but yeah, I've heard of
All
it.
right, guys, bump up.
Speaking of faces, when we can see, I have to mention this. When you get a shot of the dealer's face here, BMG,
Yeah, Russell.
Russell,
Yeah.
he always tell him, and when we get the side shot, that he looks like the posters in a barber shop.
He does. If Aquaman
He's
was
got
doing
the sculpted
those
beard
haircuts.
and kind of the classic comb haircut.
I tell him he's a poor man, Jason Momoa.
We're way nicer than I am.
Yeah, ladies, our dealer is single. Is
No,
always
no, he's
always,
not single.
He's single.
Oh, things change, I guess. Sorry, BMG, we're not trying to put your...
BMG, we're getting you out there, bro.
Yeah.
We're getting you out there. He is single. He is very good with his hands. Well, I mean, if you've got a bridge game and you need a dealer, he's there. He's there for you.
Four checks.
I said he was single and he's very good with his hands. And he looks like Jason Momoa. And he looks like a poor man's Jason Momoa.
1bet 50.
Watch the girls come rolling in.
Have female membership go way up.
Yeah. Why did we just lose 6 people on the stream? No, we didn't.
Bomb pot here.
Yay.
Wait till we can see the hands.
I like bomb pots, like I like
Doug's got a
colonoscopies.
piece.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll go through right after this bomb pot hand. We'll have a nice little stat view for you.
1bet 200.
With shorthanded like this, I'm a little bit interested to see what the VPIP and the other statistics look like. Obviously, a set of 10s again shows up on the bottom board. Pots up to 610, so we got some action. Not too much dead.
Dave actually with a scoop. Corey's
Yeah.
Radio Dave, I believe, is one of our bigger winners for the night so far.
I think so.
About to be a bit more.
But Corey, he's 200 and 200. He's gonna take a wave at 500 going in. And Radio Dave does not have a hand that feels invulnerable here because the clubs arrive. Obviously, 7-8 is good on the top.
Yeah, this is we can see that he has a scoop, but this is not an easy call.
Yeah, and people ask me, when do you feel good in a bomb pot? And I say, only when I've got quads and I fold.
Yeah,
That's the only 2
yeah.
times I feel good.
Yeah,
And he folded.
quads are nut flush.
Nice bet. So you have nothing and you take it all.
Wow.
Not a lot of
Don't
bluffs
blame
in
Radio
bomb
Dave.
pots, but that one worked.
It's like so. Stats went a little quick there, but I believe Radio Dave and Doug are our big winners. So far.
MH, pre-flop raise aggression. Not too high on anybody. And aggression frequency, James is Corey. Went to showdown. Obviously, y'all could go through these. And here's so far, it looks like the big winner is only at 471. And Mr. Pronouns is ahead.
I think it had been a little bit
Kevin obviously is
higher
hard
for a
this
couple
night.
of them, but they both our winners lost a couple of pots there.
Yeah, we've had a pretty even table. Kevin's the only one that's had. He'll make up for it in the second half, I'm sure. We're now 34 minutes into it. And Billy Joe Dupree is our cowboy number, 89. I wasn't going to go that way.
Wow, you know,
I go way deeper.
this is
than
very
you, bro.
impressive.
You know, people ask me how old I am, and I say I identify as a 37-year-old white man heterosexual. One of those is wrong.
just well, yeah.
Just figure it out for yourself. But
We got a couple of hands here. We got Big Slick suited for MH. Going to battle again with Kevin. Seen them tangle a few times already.
Of course, five-handed, you're going to see a lot of heads-up matchups a lot, but these two have had a bit of a battle.
Pre-flop, basically at the proverbial coin flip.
And the
Kevin's
7%.
still ahead.
Yeah.
Nobody with a spade. So
Yeah, the
Kevin's
question
gonna-
is who is going to be. I mean, obviously, when you're sitting there with sevens, you're less likely to try to rep a hand, whereas ace king when it whiffs is going to more likely. And of course, then you have MH being in position. Check, check. Another spade would just lock it up. But we get a 4 of clubs.
Somebody's going to take a stab here, I'm going to guess. Kevin has showdown value, so he might just check and try to get to a showdown.
He's got a. In his mind,
And he
probably
does.
also he's like, I don't want to. And this is going to absolutely lock them both.
Yeah, this is check, check. Well, actually, MH might rep the spade if he gets checked too. So
Yeah.
Kevin, you know what I'm thinking about here if I'm Kevin is I might just throw a little block bet out there.
Nope, and they went down check,
It
check.
did
They
go
did not
check, check.
tangle this time. So the hand was basically just capped by the spades.
Yeah.
Take it, take it.
It'll be here in like 25 minutes.
All right.
Sometimes in that spot, if I'm Kevin and I do just want to get to showdown, or if really it's kind of a semi-bluff, I don't want to get blown off the fact that I do have a pair by the 4 to the flush. So the pot, I believe, is around 200. Let's say it was $200. I might throw 55 out there.
Yeah.
Just to put them in an awkward spot because they can't raise unless they have a spade. If they do raise, you know they have a spade. So it's over, but
So you're
not
kind of repping. This is what I think I can get out of you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I have the ace of spades. I have the nuts. I'm just trying to get something. So
Yeah,
they
getting a little bonus.
Yeah, but what you're preventing is checking them making a bet that you can't call.
Yeah.
and you know now you
And a
just
better spade or a good spade is
Yeah.
going to come over the top of me. Yeah, but really, yeah, even the king or queen, we had this come up in a cash game the other night, the king versus the queen. Neither one of us were willing to step it out there because we were afraid of the other
Afraid of the
ace was in the range. Well, that's another one of those flops.
don't see that very often. We had the trip
the
ace
aces,
flop
yeah.
and now trip jack flop.
And did we have a 7? Did anybody have a 7? I couldn't get through the players.
See it momentarily. I didn't see a 7 yet.
Nope,
No
still
sevens.
Willie King is ahead. 9. And that's going to lock everybody up. Well, Kevin's got the nuts. And $150 pot is going to stay at $50.
One check. 3 check. Showdown.
Oh, Kevin knew nobody had anything, so he checked, just trying to induce
Yeah.
some kind of action there.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, the most likely player was the first act and Doug.
Yeah.
The most likely player to
Take a stab.
try to take a stab. And you know, there's not much of a pot out there to go for. So. Kevin's always going to call a $50 bet.
Always.
So what are you going to do? Bet 300 when you could be wrong and somebody's is slow playing? No. I actually had a hand with Sam, my buddy Sam, the other day that was like that when I got quads and quad 9s. And because I checked the first 2 times, he took a stab.
picked
And
him
he
off.
actually had a king, so he actually had made the nut boat.
Oh, so you got
And
paid.
when I came over the top of him for only, I think he bet 75, and I came over the top for just 150 min raise. He tanked a little bit, and then he called me off. And I was like, wow. I would never call that bet. I don't care if I had a king or not. But, he thought I was trying to leverage him a little bit into, nope, just had the quad.
Check, check. One check.
Pair now for Corey.
My least favorite hand, which is absolutely great here.
Jack 6.
Jack 6 is my least favorite hand. There's nothing good about that hand.
Other than the obvious 7 deuce,
Yeah.
I would say my least favorite hand. Well, actually, I would say my least favorite hand might be pocket jacks. But a lot of people say that.
The least favorite premium.
Yeah, the least favorite.
That kind of
Well,
conversation.
it's just if anybody, I don't know if you watch any poker vlogs, but
Yeah.
if you've seen Brad Owen,
Yeah.
very popular.
Brad was probably the one I've been with the longest.
Yeah, he's good content, and every time he gets pocket jacks, he has kind of a tagline. He says something to the effect of, "I get dealt pocket jacks. There's no right way to play them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I do."
It's like Lon McCarran.
Lon McCarran.
Yeah, McCarran. He always says about ace queen.
Yeah, actually, those are roughly equal to me.
Yeah.
In terms of,
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
the challenge of playing them.
I always say that give me jacks or ace queen only if I'm hijacks better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just hate them if I've got too much action behind me.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you just feel like you're getting set up for failure. It's like dating a redhead. As my dad used to say that I was a redhead. So
Oh really?
yeah, I know you are, but
Yeah.
I was.
I
like,
thought that was a personal shot there.
no,
for a
it was
second.
not. I can show you a picture of my daughter. She is flaming Irish redhead.
Really?
Yeah, she got the gorgeous hair that I had before it went white.
The one thing I'm looking forward to about going gray is it'll be the first time I don't have red hair.
Yes. Oh gosh, it's so much more difficult. There was no ginger when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I used to get in fights over being a redhead.
Uh-huh.
Just because it was unusual, and I was very freckled, very Irish, but at least I didn't have to listen. I guarantee you, being the scrapper that I was, I would have been in fights all the time if somebody gave me the ginger crap.
Well, it's one of the few things that is a part of your physical appearance that you can't change, that people feel like they can openly mock.
Yes, yes. I put it right up there with being over or undersized.
Yeah, just being short. What do you want me to do? Grow?
Too tall. And
Yeah, yeah.
how's the weather up there? I had friends
Yeah.
that had to put up with that. And I never could get tan. In Texas, that's a curse.
Oh,
When you-
well, trust me.
And I was born before a lot of sunblock, so yeah, I was always getting sunburned. Yeah, my daughter she is every part of, and both of her parents were redheads.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest, for the ladies, the red hair is not an issue.
It's really not.
I've never heard a woman really get the same type of flack.
No, I'm not gonna.
By the way, I would have never guessed you had red hair.
Really?
I would have been 100% wrong.
Well, unfortunately, this is the color of your beard if it hasn't gone gray.
Yeah.
It is. It's that this was the last thing to turn kind of like washed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was. Now I was more
For the chat, he was
dark
pointing
over.
at his arm.
Yeah, that was where we wished we'd had the camera inside, so y'all wouldn't have been alarmed. You're playing your gamble all game. You don't care anyway. So, pocket jiggity's 53%. This is very Jeffrey. Pocket jiggity's 53% approximately chance to see an overcard.
Overcard on the flop. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's not what you're thinking about because again, like I say, it's like a 16% chance you see an ace on the flop. Unless you have kings, then it's 90%.
Then it's 90%. Yeah.
Always. So, yeah, it's one of those hands that you're like, jacks. you know, you love a flop like this, obviously, but anything short of that, you just got gloom and doom on your mind.
And actually, the other thing, and I don't know if you've ever maybe thought this, but recently, and we all know how difficult it is to flop a set, but it's never not exciting. But what I've noticed is, and it's not even just noticed, this isn't even like advanced poker theory or anything, but is if you flop a set with a big, you know, a big pocket pair, a lot of times you don't get paid because you block all the decent hands somebody could have. So I would rather flop a set of fives than a set of kings, for example.
Yes, I would too. There's something very, very gratifying. You know, a set of kings, you're not getting called off. There's probably not, except for by aces. Whereas a set of fives is so. I won a big hand in the first 2-5 game I played. Chris and I, you know Chris, young Chris, I call him, Mr. Rolly. He had ace king, and the board came out 7-5 ace. And so
That's how you get paid.
That's how you get paid. But at the same time, at the end, he jammed on me. And I'm like, well, holy hell, could he have a set of aces? I have bottom set.
Yeah.
And I had made with I think a sevens on the board. I had made them both, but I got the low ball. And everybody on the stream was like, "Oh, he's slow rolling him." No, and luckily Lottie came to my defense and said it's a nit roll maybe, but not a slow roll.
Yeah.
And then I finally called him out, or called him off because I did put him on ace king. But you know, when he saw it, he said to me several times since then, because the first hand, and we're both in for our stacks on the first hand after the bomb pot. And he said he did, that one still wakes him up in the middle of the night, which is a great thing to hear from somebody that, you know, that they remember a hand 3 months later that still gets on.
Speaking of playing up, or when I was playing up to 2-5, moving up the stakes, the very first time I played, and admittedly, you know, it's a bit intimidating. The money is significantly larger. The skill of the players is much higher.
Yes.
Within the first 2 or 3 hands I was dealt, after being seated, I was dealt ace-10 in early position, and I just open-folded it, which isn't a horrible play necessarily.
No, it's a little bit of
you don't. Yeah, it's very close, and it just depends on game dynamics and stuff. I fold it, and the flop comes 10-10-10, and 2 guys ended up making boats later and played a big pot, and I would have for sure.
Surprised.
I would have definitely won the biggest pot of my life to that point.
Yeah. Yes.
That's just how poker goes sometimes.
It is. It is. It's like, you know, like these deuces on the board. That's why those deuces are why you play ace deuce suited.
Right.
Because that is a dream flop.
Although you would get in big trouble right now because Doug just turned a full house.
Yeah, well, that's
but
true.
yes,
I just
agree with
noticed
you.
the 6.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. You would obviously, yeah.
Corey's going to take a stab. We'll see if Doug waits till the river to raise. He's probably going to raise now because he's going to have to act first.
And he knows Corey very well. Yeah, that is such a classic Doug move.
This is probably going to be
an overbet. Where he grabs a hand,
big old stack,
and starts counting it out.
He's just going to Hollywood here, I believe, and let it go.
Yeah, he's not going to be a hero.
Yeah, he was
Corey's
just trying
too
to.
smart for that. Doug, you cost yourself value, and I'm saying it on national television. No, it's something like that. Or to 102 YouTubers.
The other thing, too, though, in a lot of cases, when you play with players like this, at least in my opinion, is it's really fun when we can see the cards, obviously, but there's times where you know these guys are capable of making moves. So every time you get, right now we know that he had a full house there, but if you're Corey, in the back of your mind, are you thinking, was Doug just knew I was stealing, so now he's, being aggressive to just take it away from me?
Yeah. Doug did that to me on the button once when I could not get into my head that he had a 6. I could not, even though I knew his range was wider on the button, and I knew what the 8-6 and the 7-6 possibilities were. Could not get it in my head. And he made a bet like that, where I thought I was sixes up. I think I had tens, and or tens full of sixes, and or not full sixes, tens and sixes, and I could not fold it. And I was so irritated with him for about 2 weeks because I felt like I had. He was playing the player to some extent, and he knew I would call him.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wasn't as good as Corey.
Yeah, well.
You know, and that hand will keep me up. The suck out, the cooler, doesn't bother me for more than 5 seconds.
I'm definitely with you on that. Looks like we got ace king versus eights, another low flop. So still an overpair for James to the board. Kevin Y in the unfortunate position of having to act first with no pair. But very likely thinks he might still be good with ace king. Head of a lot of...
You know, you talked about the differences in poker and generationally. The value of ace king has changed so dramatically in the last 20 years.
I'd be interested to know in what way.
It's so much more valued now than
Really?
it was. I mean, Rob, the dealer, or Rock and Roll Rob, he always says that aces in PLO and ace king in Hold'em are just drawing hands.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an old school thought. That's where an older player, I think, can sometimes take advantage of the younger players that overvalue the ace king.
They just way overplay.
Especially with a board like this, where they'll keep throwing at it. And when you got eights, you feel great if you put them on that hand.
Absolutely.
Like, keep firing away, buddy. And then you feel terrible when the king comes out.
This case,
or
Kevin
did
did
the dime.
pick up. Yeah, he picked up a little equity. So he has
Yeah.
4 to the flush.
Yeah.
With the
He's got decent
second nut
equity to
flush.
make this call whatever James decides to.
I suspect
This is a
he
big pot.
will probably do a semi-bluff here, and he does.
And you can see at the top how many outs he's got. I mean, and believe me, Kevin knows exactly how many outs he's got.
Kevin knows he has 12
And he's
outs.
probably putting him on a hand like this. Now James has got to think to himself, really? Did I walk into 8-9? Did I walk into diamonds? Did he, you know, what would he have right here? Ace king of diamonds is legitimate. Ace queen of diamonds, ace jack of diamonds.
The other thing I'm thinking in this case is if you make this flat call and the river's a diamond,
Yeah.
you know, you're in bad shape. That's
Unfortunate card for Kevin. But Kevin's not playing the cards right now as much as he's playing what was his equity. And did he get it? He just made a bet that was just floated back to him. So
did he just jam?
He did.
He did.
And
wow.
I was just about to say, if
What
you're
a play.
Kevin, you can jam here and you're going to get a fold.
Yeah, I don't,
Especially from a really good player. He's like, there is nothing good about that final.
This is a gross spot for James.
I don't know what James just said there. It'd be interesting what he just waved and said. These are two really good poker players. I wish I could. Well, I could turn up the volume here. I don't know if we'll get any more out of James that we can hear.
There we go. Here we go.
Hopefully y'all can hear the difference that we can hear.
Kevin is doing the internal, please fold, please fold, please fold. The one advantage also, though, that James has is that his stack to pot ratio is pretty good for calling.
His pot odds are pretty. And his food just showed up. He even just brought him his food, and he's thinking to himself, you know, at least I get a meal out of this.
I could take a little meal break if I call, and I'm right or wrong. He is.
Gosh, I'd be so in the tank like him. I don't know if he's played Kevin enough to know that. I mean, I would honestly be thinking, having played with Kevin so much.
He certainly has this move.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has this move, but
Sorry, guys.
If he's playing a diamond draw, just like he is, this is what he'll always do. There's too much value here not to run at.
The tough thing, though, about the way the hand played out is Kevin may have played it exactly the same way if he's. Oh, he makes the call.
Oh, okay, call
Wow.
of the night.
What a call by James.
You know, just look at the relief on his face. He's like, wow, I can't believe he put me to that test.
Pot of the night so
Pot
far.
of the night, $3,000 pot. It's been a rough night for Kevin. And I'll be honest with you, I was rooting for him. I like both these guys. But
Yeah.
I was just about to say when he put it in, I think he's going to put it in.
And, you know, in Kevin's position, you sitting there and you're always thinking, how did he call it? That was exactly what the type of hand I was targeting.
Yep.
And sometimes it just doesn't work.
Happy puppies.
The 2-5.
That's why he did fold already. Yeah, I know. Our mouth was a little bit.
I have exactly.
But these are really I have no. I'm sitting here thinking I have no idea.
Because the small blind is 2,
They should. We can always say, yeah, I would have called.
I think it just, I think it probably came down to James didn't have enough money left to fold. Really, there was.
He had less than a third of the pot behind.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
and I'm Kevin. I'm sure knew that and knew that wasn't to his advantage. But yeah, I think that if it had been maybe a 1-to-1 ratio or so, he probably lets go. But
yeah. That's where as a player, you're sitting back, like you're not involved in this hand. Like your radio or, Corey or something, you're sitting in this hand and you're playing it in your mind and you're running through the possibilities and you're really anxious to see, you're hoping he calls so you can see whether you were right.
oh yeah, yeah.
And you also, at the same time, feel a lot of sympathy or empathy because we've all done it for Kevin. It was a really gutsy move, but I think you're right. There just wasn't enough behind for James to not call.
Yeah, he only had to be right, 1 out of 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't remember what the exact numbers were. So it was 1 out of like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
If, as you're telling me, I've never played with James like I mentioned, and I'll certainly be looking out for him if I or when I do. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that he thought about that. If I only have to be right.
Yeah, it's probably, and that's a question I think is a really good question. So what is the sequence of thoughts in your head when you face an all-in bet like that? I mean, you obviously got pretty quickly to how much he had behind, and all the implied odds and everything. So what is the first thing you think? Do you review what you thought he had and what you think he would do this with? I mean,
Yeah, that's a really good question.
what is the sequence?
I'm having to make. I've never thought about it specifically like I have a formula, but I would say I think about, what do I put him on? How does my hand play against that? So, obviously, in this case, you're talking about making a semi-hero call.
Yeah.
Or he has a hand, but
Yeah.
it's not like he called him with bottom pair or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and he had an over pair
all the way
so
up to the river.
a likely hand for Kevin to have would be unpaired, Broadway cards, as he did. So you think about that, and then I think about the player. That's probably the biggest part of the decision is this
Player
the type
knowledge.
of player that is capable of that move?
Yeah.
And then the last part would be the money. How much am I going to have to call? And we're assuming, standard betting size. Like, obviously, I'm not going to think about it if I'm getting 10-1. I'm just going to call. But if it's like in this case where you're getting 3 or 4-1, that's going to be the last factor that makes me.
And that sealed it up for you, and it probably did for him. What is the tool you would use to try to get information? Now, I know, Kevin, you get nothing from him always. But what are things that you would say to them or potentially say to them to try to get information?
I'm not a big table talker to get info. Occasionally, Like with Kevin, I know if I ask him a question, he's not going to respond.
No, you're going to get a big bag of nothing.
So you're not going to get anything. But if somebody is
Doug's
willing to
another
talk,
story, but, yeah.
I'll just, I might just ask them if they want to call and just see what they do.
So I've got this little speech, and hopefully there's not enough people. There's 112 people watching. But I have this little speech. And several of the people that have played me, like Kevin, over and over again, have heard me say this. I won't say it to Kevin, though, because I know it's useless. But I'll say, you know, you caught me at an odd time in my life. I'm kind of, my give up is really, really low. And I'm thinking that I'm okay with hitting the pizza on the way home and watching, you know, whatever's on TV on Netflix. And I'll give them that little speech like I don't give a crap and see how they react to it. Sometimes
See if they
you'll
suddenly
get
look
that
nervous.
if they
Yeah.
laugh or if they think it's amusing, it's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
there's, you know, now that's a little old school, a little like, you know, and it's also, I try not to get distracted by what other people around me are reacting to that same speech. It also makes me look really, really comfortable.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that may also make them feel less comfortable if they're even if they got second pair. Obviously, I don't have anything I can do when they're jammed, so I'm not getting, you know, bet value out of it.
But other than the speech play, the one thing we haven't mentioned, and this is pretty far down the list in terms of making a decision, because first of all, sometimes it's hard to tell based on what the player's wearing. But if I look and you see their chest really heaving, a lot of times I'll read that actually as weakness.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to control your flight sense. So in a weird way, it's almost opposite of the hand shaking when they bet.
Yeah.
That's excitement. To me, chest heaving. Sometimes it can be they're real excited about their hand, but I think more so it's that they're very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
From what I've noticed.
And this is why I lobbied TCH to raise the 1-2 limit to 500, because unfortunately, it's hard in a cash 1-2 game to get anybody that excited about. I just put my last $170 on the line, you know, or you know the limits are too small.
Right.
Now, if they've built up that stack and they don't want to give it up, but they still make that run, you can sometimes. But yeah, I agree with you. The chest heaving, you know, I think everybody has watched enough YouTube videos about tells to avoid reverse tells. So I don't look at the obvious ones like direct eye contact.
Yeah.
You can't. That's old school. Not valid.
And most
it's very
people,
hard to get your breathing under control. It's, you know, I tell people all the time when I first learned to shoot, really shoot, with really good long-distance shooters that were military trained and everything, breathing control, that's when you realize how hard it is just in regular life, much less under stress.
And you know, honestly, I find it difficult myself.
Yeah.
I'll find myself sitting there, and I'll even be aware, just trying to take really light, you know, breaths. That
I just don't stop talking.
Well, yeah, that
I kind of am in the drama school. Like I've got verbal diarrhea, and, you know, and you can't tell what I'm. I've had more people. Chest heaving is usually a sign of nervousness and that they are bluffing.
Yeah,
okay, we
agree with you, Jeffrey.
Yeah, totally. Our thoughts. But I've also found that my breathing is disguised when I just won't stop talking.
That makes sense. I'm not the biggest. Well, it depends.
People can say you just acted so comfortable there. And like that was.
Yeah. Well, and that is typically a reverse tell.
Bluff.
Yeah.
If you show your bluff, then they're never going to trust you. So.
If I'm bluffing or I have a big hand, typically I may just stare at the board and do nothing else until it's over.
Yes. Yeah. The absolute stone face, I'm always impressed with.
4-bet 30.
Kevin, take off your mask. That's what I always say. Let me see your bottom lip quivering.
Yeah, I think Kevin might be using it a little bit to his advantage from a poker standpoint.
Definitely. Yeah, he most definitely. I asked him if he was vaccinated. He goes, well, that's kind of a personal question. I'm like, I don't really care. But we're in that mess still, so you don't have to show your.
Yeah.
And why don't you just bring the whole Euro hoodie?
Oh yeah,
and
the neck cover.
Yeah,
hoodie
your
thing.
scarf and headsets and sunglasses. I did have a player tell me once that's one of the reasons they got Botox.
Oh wow.
They couldn't keep their eyebrows from not moving. I'm like, seriously? You seriously? And they were serious. That was in Vegas at the Nugget.
That's funny.
They said, well, I got Botox because my
I would
forehead
wrinkle.
would jiggle. I'm like,
You know, another one
should be
that
illegal.
I've heard but makes sense and I've never employed. So I guess I've never noticed someone doing it, but they say that a lot of players, if you see somebody that's chewing gum at the table, if they're chewing and then they quit, it could mean either or. It could mean either they're really, you have to figure out if that means they're really strong or really weak, that they quit chewing.
So that leads me to a question because I know what I do. So how much attention do you pay? And this I know what the answer is going to be, but for recreational players, pay attention to what Kyle's about to say.
Okay.
Because I know he's going to answer.
I hope
well.
I'm right.
No, yeah, I know you will. How much do you watch the faces in high-stress hands like that? How much do you watch the players when you're not playing?
Oh, constantly.
Exactly.
Yes.
I can see people now. If it's a $45 hand somebody's gone all in with, I may not. But I see recreational players looking at their phones, watching the football game.
Right.
When there is information screaming out of these two
Yes,
players.
you can pick up so much stuff.
And okay, you're not in the hand, but you're about to be.
Actually, I don't love wearing sunglasses at the table. I've started to do it here and there, and actually, I don't wear. What I appreciate about wearing them the most isn't to keep people from, reading my soul when we're in a hand.
Yeah.
It's so that I can stare out of at people out of the corner of my eye, and they don't know I'm actually looking at them. So while all the action happens, it just looks like I'm staring at the board, but I'm actually watching the person behind the person with action to see where, what they might be. Are they already kind of looking at their chips? So just that's what I like.
What's
the
kind
most
of
about
fun, because I have these black eyes. You've got the good Irish eyes. I've got these black Irish eyes.
That's actually, I think, why I wouldn't have guessed you had red hair.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
I got my mom's dark brown
dark eyes, yeah.
But she's a black Irish thing, a certain part of Ireland. But there's nothing more amusing to me when I'm not in a hand and two people are, and there's a bit of tanking going on, and I'm watching one or both of the players, and they see me looking at them, and I'm not in the hand. Mm-hmm. They are all prepped to react to the other person's staring at them. When they see somebody else staring at them, there's almost always a moment where they're like, what the are you looking at?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh crap, he's been watching me the whole hand.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit like, passing gas and then turn around seeing there's somebody that was just 4 feet behind you. They have that moment,
Yeah.
where you're like, oh crap,
I'm being
did I
studied.
just get found out?
Yeah.
So, I just recreational players.
Straddling?
Every hand that's on the table is a hand you're playing.
You're in all of them.
Yes, you're in all of them.
9-bet.
I've learned that from really good poker players. And you'll notice, like a hand like that we were talking about, which was really a long time ago. We haven't really commented on the lack of action that is these kind of hands. But everybody was quiet and everybody was watching. And like I said, it's exciting to see that you want that person to call so you can see what the hands were, so you can check your facts and whether you were correct or not. The difference is none of these players at the end of it going to, I knew he had eights.
None of these players
he
are gonna do
had
that.
ace king.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear that.
1-bet 25?
Now, James is making me hungry.
Does look good.
Yeah, if I have you had Halal Hub down the road?
I haven't.
I'm a little addicted to it. Now.
It's
The
good?
shawarma is
Oh, wow.
awesome. Eva got that one night and talked me into getting it, and I've been hooked. And Kevin got me hooked to Cabo Bombs. You a Cabo Bombs fan?
I haven't.
Oh gosh, you need to.
I need to expand my horizons.
Are you
around
married?
What's that?
Are you married?
I'm not.
Okay, yeah, you definitely need to go. You have
Ladies,
no excuses for
if you're listening.
You're what?
I said, ladies, if you're listening.
I have nothing to go. I haven't seen you deal, so I don't know if you're good with your hands.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. BMG still got me on that for sure.
Yeah. And you do look like you could be in Braveheart. So.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Did you do? Were you in the military?
I was not.
Okay.
But,
You kind of. I worked for the military, so I always.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Air Force medical.
Yeah,
You look a little bit like a special forces guy.
well, that's the nicest thing somebody said to me today.
Good. I'm glad you took it the right way. Other people would say, I'm not a good stone cold killer.
Well-
I always tell people I work with the greatest people on the planet. The Air Force and all the special operations medics.
Oh, cool.
They can take you down and then bring you back.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I have a ton of respect for that. I have quite a few family members who've served.
yeah. I never served, but I started working with the military a long time ago. My father did too. He was a Marine veteran. Then flew helicopters. So he was tied to the military all his life. I grew up like a military guy. And you grew up where?
Goliad, Texas. Actually.
Goliad.
Do you know where that is?
Of course.
That's incredible. Oh, you're a fisherman. That's right.
And yes, and I'm
So
also a seventh generation Texan. So
Oh, okay. And an intelligent man that knows his geography.
now you're stretching.
Well, the funny thing is, there'd be so many times, in my 20s or whatnot, I'd be talking to somebody and I'd say, I grew up in Goliad, Texas. Then, as you probably know, there's a ton of Texas history there.
Oh yeah, it goes
Presidio de la
Presidio,
Bahia,
yeah.
Colonel Fannin, and
Yeah.
the war. And they would say, oh, yeah, I know where Goliad is. I'd be, oh, really? You know about all the history? No, I just drive through there on the way to spring break going to South Padre. Okay.
Well, that's
different
the other
ways
thing
to
it's
know.
known for.
Different ways to know.
The place to buy beer before you hit Padre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about yourself? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Arlington.
Oh, cool. You mentioned that.
Yeah. I went to the University of Texas at Arlington, and then went up north for school for a while. Ended back up at UT for a degree later on, and so I'm a Longhorn and a Maverick, which is UTA.
I actually have UT Arlington on my resume,
Really?
but it wasn't a degree. It was a real estate license.
Oh,
Swear I
really? You
did
got
that.
licensed there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we grew up. If you know that part of Arlington from UTA, it's on Cooper Street and Collins, and I lived on Mitchell Street, which ran north or east-west.
Okay.
So I grew up right down the road from Arlington Stadium, and UTA when I went there, this is how long ago it was, had a football team. They don't now. So
Wow.
yeah, they gave it up in the 80s. But yeah, my dad was born in Arlington. My grandfather was born in Arlington before it was Arlington, and then we go back to 1840s to Bastrop.
Wow.
Came over with the Irish invasion that Stephen F. Austin brought from North Carolina.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I that's why I tell people when they ask where what are you an American? I say no, I'm a Texan. I identify as an American second to Texans, as we all should. All the natives should say that. But yeah, I know Goliad too.
Love Texas also. Have lived here my whole life.
Yeah, I have too. I've spent
Kind of been around, but
Yeah, same here. So a bomb pot ended up being
Small
much of a bomb pot, smaller bomb pot. Doug is away from the table, so we are really short-handed now. It looks like maybe James is away from the table too.
kind of Miss Beeper's comment here said, our dealer BMG has a great shuffle. Well,
He does.
I think we just changed dealers, though, maybe.
Yeah, this looks like
That was the previous dealer.
Is this Maui? Yeah, this is Maui.
Maui has a
dealer.
great shuffle also.
Yeah, I can tell Maui by the top of his head, and he's got very smooth. I did this when we were talking about the staff in the staff game. How top-notch the quality of dealers are here,
Oh, yeah.
and how I was bragging on Eric about how he set the Guinness Book of World Records for resetting the deck.
Okay.
Shuffle. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, he actually did it here in the card room. He had Mike Manis and a couple others be the judges and timers, and because they have a format for Guinness, and he did something unbelievable, like 23 decks in 2 minutes. They were
And
totally
he is
shuffled,
the
and
world
he
record
set
holder?
Yeah, they're still waiting for the confirmation.
Oh, wow.
It hasn't made the book yet. They're still waiting for the confirmation.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? And he's one of many dealers, including our producer, that are just make me glad every time I come back to Texas Card House because the dealing is so high quality.
And
Mallory's
they're expected to be perfect, and the vast majority, 99.9% of the time, they are. And it's a tough job, especially I don't envy when they have a bomb pot that's got somebody. It's
splits.
3/4, and there's
Yes.
2 side pots.
Yes.
how they sift through that occasionally amazes me.
And they have to be at that time the good ones. Russell's a really good one about having to settle the table down. Okay, I'm going to go about this first with them, then with you,
Right.
then with you. So please don't show your cards until I ask you to. Very much directing traffic.
And of course, and I've been guilty of this as well, but of course everybody, the first thing, especially if they have a good hand, they want to show that they won. So it's kind of hard to get people to sit
They're
back.
so excited that they hit their river dream, or that they didn't. And it's another reason that I would have bomb pots, man. It's a dealer stress.
It is tough, yeah. But they make I would argue, and Mel, our producer, could, she's interacting with the dealer here, but I would imagine they get tipped a little more for each bomb pot on average, because you have 2 winners typically.
Yeah.
Pots tend to be a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
That was just confirmed by Mel.
Yeah. Verified, validated. So Doug is turning open-ender, and but MH is still ahead, and that did not help.
Ace high is still good here.
Yeah, Doug's got to bet this to win it. And he just bet, so
keep telling his story. I imagine he will.
At this point, if I were MH, I'd be thinking about that hand where Doug really did have 6s on the button. Let's see what his sizing looks like. I figure
I wouldn't be surprised if MH thinks for a minute about calling with ace high.
To bet 95.
Yeah, see, he's not insta-folding.
Yeah. And this does not, unlike what some people would say, this does not qualify with this board as a hero. It's certainly a brave one.
Yeah.
But, if you felt like your ace was good on the turn, the 7 doesn't do anything to what you think it is now.
And sometimes you make this call and they show you 5s. He makes a great call. That's
and that's just superior poker.
And not to repeatedly, talk down about, lower stakes players, but I guess without bringing it up, you can't.
Good player.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I would say that 98% of the time, they're just, I don't have a pair. He bet twice. I fold.
Yes.
They don't really have the ace high call there very often at all.
Yeah, but that plays into your favorite thing to do, your semi-hero call.
Oh, that is, yes. Maybe I'm giving away some information, but if I make that call and I'm MH, I'm feeling really good about myself.
And to be honest with you, if I'm completely transparent, there's nothing I like better than winning a hand against Doug.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's
just to get that smile, just get that smile that, idiot grin out of you.
So speaking of beating Doug in a hand, this wasn't really beating, this was getting lucky. I was playing 2-5 with him one time, and he had position on me. And he was just mercilessly 3 and 4 betting me. And maybe he was just running well, or maybe at the time, and I was a newer, 2-5 player at the time, he just thought he could get away with it. Well, I finally got fed up, and I raised with 5-6 suited. And he 3-bet me as I was expecting, and I had planned. I was jamming.
Jamming.
and I jam, and he has aces,
Oh my gosh.
and I make 2 pair and win.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And
gosh.
the
when he
amount-
rolled those aces over, it was like a
Yeah,
shot.
I mean, in my defense, I had the best hand against aces,
you did. You
Y-
did.
well, yeah, 5,
You had a
6 suited.
giant slayer.
but that was
Yeah.
he was not a happy camper. To your point, he did get
Bless
up
you.
and he left the table for a minute after that.
Yeah. I had a hand with him where I had queen 9, and he ended up boating on him. And he just was the aggression all the way, and then I jammed the end, and he pretty quickly called. He never saw what he had, never got him to tell me. But I had to leave for a minute. You know, there's the other reason you leave, which is to go outside and do your I call it the Brad Pitt dance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I went outside and I came back in. I knew I'd gotten him because he looked at me and he goes, "So what are you going to do with all that money?" And I'm like, Doug, that's not a lot of money to me. I could have given him a high hat. I don't know. Probably give it to my daughter. She needs to buy a new vacuum cleaner. Something.
Yeah.
That's very enjoyable. But the great thing about Doug is he'll have a moment. He doesn't get mad.
No,
He's too good a poker player
Yeah.
to get too bad. So.
Cool guy.
All right,
we,
so you
we
think
follow
should,
each other on
like,
Instagram.
Comment on some poker?
I'm sorry.
You want to?
Yeah, we probably should focus. we need hands larger than $22.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, that we didn't analyze that hand, that $22 hand to the fullest of its.
We're due for a cooler here.
Yeah, it's kind of settled into a little bit of a ping pong match between a lot of heads up, low stakes, low pot size. Still 5-handed, really surprised. But again, a holiday, not that surprising. And for the 96 of you that are still with us, thank you. We are ahead 79.
Oh, it's up to you again.
Harvey Martin.
Wow.
I guess, like I said, my repertoire goes real deep because of age.
I think you may be able to go all the way 1 to 99.
No, that's why 30 just stumped me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have to go look because that's how
Who's 30?
when people give me numbers like 4 digits of code or something, that's how I remember it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I may or may not have had a girlfriend whose gate code was Bill Bates, Harvey Martin. Yeah, 4079. That was a long time ago. So she's safe.
What's her name and address?
Yeah, I just can say straight there.
Well, we had another small one when we had ace-king suited, no action, and we move along here to ace-jack versus the worst hand mathematically in poker.
And Kevin.
7 deuce. He's going to play it.
Yeah, he's going to play
He
it.
doesn't play it. He was already putting out the straddle.
Oh, okay, that was the straddle.
Yeah, it did look like he was.
Yeah, I
was
started saying
like, Kevin's
ace-jack,
not
but
playing 7
opposed
deuce.
there, I guess. Okay.
I probably, shouldn't say this, but occasionally I will raise with 7 deuce with only the intent of bluffing and showing it.
Yeah.
Just so people think I'm a little nuts.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit of a table image thing.
There's certain times that you get your table image thrown back at you. I had a hand probably 3 weeks ago. Phil, the dealer from the lodge, one of my favorite human beings on the planet.
Horseshoe Phil.
Yes. And Austin. Austin, I don't know his last name. I haven't seen him here for a couple of months, and he came back.
I'd be likely to recognize him, maybe don't know his name. We're told we're going to have a big palm pot coming up, hand 86.
Yeah, the system fails just a little bit. But Austin and another player to my right that I know very well, I'll remain nameless. We didn't know it at the time, had ace-king, both of them. I had 10-7, which I like suited. I had 10-7 of spades. But they bet. I called. not in great position, but I was a little bored, frankly. Raised by the person in seat 5. I was in seat 3, seat 2. You know, Phil jams.
Okay.
He was. I don't know why he jammed, but he was mad about something, or he does get real mad, but he was frustrated by something. He jammed. Snapped by ace king to my right. And I'm sitting there going, well, I can't play 10-7 for $330, which is what I had in front of me. I can play for 35. But the player in seat 5, Austin says, I call. And the dealer in me said, oh, action's over here in seat 3.
So now you know
Now
you're
I
getting 4 to 1
I'm
or whatever.
getting 3x plus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, well, dang, I wasn't going to call, but now I feel like I got to call.
Yeah.
Because I know these cards are live.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Right.
I little did I know, 8-6 was what Phil had of diamonds, and he was actually more in my range. They know, afterwards, everybody's like, I can't believe you called that. Did you jammed? Because you're so tight and you don't do crazy things. Like the 7 deuce would help that image of mine. And of course, I won the hand with a river 5 that made the straight.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Jerry's my assassin.
Big
Jerry's
pot, huh?
dealer.
So
Oh yeah, it was. I
quadrupled up?
Yeah, quadrupled. And the last thing Phil said to me is, Tom, I can't believe you called that. Like me. That because he would have won the hand with just a naked ace.
Oh, if you had.
Because ace king obviously couldn't get anything. It's our board. But I had so many people that day tell me what my table image was. Yeah, I can't believe you played that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that tells me something. Maybe I should do your 7 deuce philosophy just to
And
up
you
my
know,
image.
at the same time, though, I have played where that has backfired on me in that I get in a spot where I want to bluff, but I have created this artificial reckless image.
Yeah.
And I can't get my bluff through. So, you know, you have to kind of know where you stand in the head of the other players. You know, like it's
a snake's got teeth.
Is this
on
person
one
going to
end.
call me light because of something they saw me do, or do I have that nice, you know, it just depends.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons I don't bluff tournaments very much. I really reduce my bluffs, even because those people typically don't know you, and they also, because they're playing for whatever they're buying, one bullet is, they don't assign a lot of value to calling you off.
Right.
Just go rebuy.
Call you light. Yep.
So, yeah, I exploited the old man image all the time.
Have you heard of OMC, Old Man Coffee, as a player type?
No, old man coffee.
Yeah, so it's the profile of how most old men with a coffee at the table play.
Oh,
the very tight,
the
very
grinder.
the daily
grinder
very
type.
passive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sometimes I have that thrown in my face because, like I said, I'm only half joking when I say I identify as a 37-year-old white male heterosexual, at least about the age thing, because I never think of myself my age.
Yeah.
I typically don't hang out with people my age. They're too old man like coffee types, and they wear me out.
Or bore you to death?
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. They're sitting there with their coffee, daily grinders. I used to see them at the Nugget all the time when I used to go there. And I'm like, I don't want to play with these people. They get mad when I raise $15. And we're playing 1-3.
Yeah, you can't extract any money because they're not going to make really any big mistakes typically. But the one thing, though, if they're an extreme version of that, it's almost like they play their hands face up.
Yes.
If it's the first time they've 3-bet in 2 hours, you can almost be guaranteed it's aces or kings.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I sit down at tournament tables and I identify 2 or 3 people that I'm not going to get in. Try. If they bet into me, I know they've got it.
Right. It's never a bluff.
Right. It's never a bluff.
So actually, you brought up tournaments, so I'm curious, and I have a opinion on this, and so but I'm curious yours before I divulge mine.
Okay.
So for the typical tournaments that you would have, here locally, and at TCH, the 100 to let's call it $350 buy-ins that you can find on, a weekly basis. Do you find that the typical tournament player that maybe you've never seen before, only plays tournaments, do you find them to be stronger, equal, or weaker than your average cash player?
Weak.
Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm
notice how long I
astonished.
tanked on that answer.
When
That was
when
a
I
snap
play,
answer.
when I sometimes if I maybe don't really want to have to focus that much, and maybe I'm not ready to risk thousands of dollars or whatever, I'll just go buy into a tournament, and I'm blown away at some of the things that I see.
If anybody wants to have that thought verified, Kevin, our seat
Yeah.
8 player, won that. We were talking about it earlier. He won that Art of Poker. And he said, you've got to watch the Final Table live stream.
I did.
He said it was some terrible poker.
Yeah, he played phenomenally too.
Yes, he did. He played extremely well. It was immediately clear, hopefully to them at the table, who the real killer was at that table.
Absolutely.
And if you know Kevin, you know he didn't play any tournaments till about 3 months ago.
Yep.
And then he
Never
started
plays
joining
tournaments.
us for a couple of tournaments. He even came and joined a PLO tournament, which is insane. I told him, "Who are you? You know, what have you done with my friend Kevin?
Yeah.
You know, is he in your trunk? You know, you're obviously a clone. You know,
Yeah.
where's the seed pods? Sorry, Dante would get that reference. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But I told him, because we all got knocked out of that one tournament. Me, Till, Kevin Creekmore, me, Jeremy, and Kevin Creekmore all walked out together. We just got knocked out right after the break, after they locked the field. And I went by, and Kevin had just a few of each denomination. I'm like, well, he's going to go over.
He'll be right
He'll
behind
be a
us.
TCH here in a minute. And then I kept looking at my watch, and somebody said, hey, Kevin made the final table. And I'm like, no kidding.
Wow.
Well, if you know Kevin, that's totally believable. That he could take a small stack, that he was unlucky, but now he's figured out the table, figured out his competition, and then he rode it to a win, $13,000 win.
Yep.
So I think you're absolutely correct. If I want to go play and I don't want to worry about anything, I just kind of want to get my poker into my belt.
Yeah, just
I even go and play some tournaments where I want to try some new things out.
same.
Did
So
you too?
it's absolutely. So if I and I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No.
But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, occasionally I'll play maybe a $100 buy-in, $120 buy-in tournament, and sometimes I look at the cash payouts and you think that's one good pot in a cash game
Yes.
to finish like third or even first.
Yep.
But it is a great time to test things out, because the penalty if you're wrong is much less severe.
It's so I think where I took a year to concentrate on tournaments. That was right after COVID. And once we got fully back in swing and I got my poker legs back underneath me, live poker, I took a year, I'm going to really concentrate on tournaments. And I played the PLO and then all the other things. And we had a Sunday tournament. It was a $300 buy-in that was much tougher because recreational players are not going to spend $300 on a low return tournament. And unlike a lodge tournament where they could dream about making, $25,000. And so the quality was really good. And I tried out a lot of different things. And of course, you can't make too many extrapolations between cash tournament because it is so different. But you can try some different strategies.
Oh, yeah.
Positional, bet sizing. So, you all right, Mel? Our producer just... Okay.
Sounded like
She's
she
fine.
fell out of her chair, but she did not.
She did not. That was planned. That was a totally orchestrated move. So we're in bomb pot territory, and Doug's got queens.
Set of queens for Doug.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's got the best of the turnout, but he's also looking at Broadway, and Radio Dave's got the dummy into the straight.
Corey has diamonds, but they're not good diamonds for a bomb pot.
Looks like Queen 8 is the best diamond draw.
Oh, actually, I didn't even see that.
So Doug's got a big chunk of this,
He sure does.
and he got a big surprise. Okay, now we have a set of nines. So Kevin's got a set on the bottom. Middle set, middle lower.
Our straights available on the bottom.
Yep. Yeah, straights are there on both Broadway and to the king. Queen Jack is a great hand, but you've got blockers on the top board.
180.
And these guys are thinking about all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin's going to play his set. And having 2 pair on the top doesn't hurt his feelings either. And a heart draw, a nut heart draw on the top.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
nut hearts.
Oh, wow. That's an action card. So now Kevin's got aces over jacks. And Doug's queens
So
are
he has
no bueno. He's got queens over aces.
Essentially the third.
Kevin
nuts.
just locked up that this is a scoop. And he checks. Let's see how much Doug is willing to call. Because Kevin's feeling really good about life at this moment.
Potted it.
And Doug
Insta
is,
call from
got-
Doug, and after
Yeah,
all that,
snap call.
$20 for each.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at it again, Doug, but the results are the same. You got served.
Is he mucked? He had half the pot.
No, he doesn't.
The percentages are
because,
wrong?
no, because Kevin had ace jack, so he's got a boat that the only thing he gets beat by is ace queen. Doug's got queens over aces. So you see Kevin got the bonus card, ace jack. And then he's got a set of nines.
Yeah. I guess the percentages were just wrong. Huh.
Oh, I wasn't looking at the percentages.
What's that?
Oh, you were looking at the percentages?
Yeah, I was just looking at
Yeah,
the
no, I
percentages.
didn't
It
even-
showed a chop, but
Oh, that's the hand that we got a note from our producer that we failed to mention that Doug doesn't show. System set to chop at Kevin scoops.
I got that note too long ago. I
Yes.
forgot about it.
Sorry, Mel, we completely forgot your note. We've slept since then.
I just didn't want Travis Kelce to.
It just went south. Okay, so you want us to make it up? That's what they used to do in baseball when
One of the Chiefs receivers and the Eagles kicker to outscore Travis Kelce today. And I don't think it's
Okay.
happening anymore because she just scored a touchdown. Leader. You're 1,500 up there.
Okay.
Wow, so we won't know it either.
Got a little note from the producer here. We're going to have a big hand that we're going to have some technical difficulties on, hand 91. So we'll be
Up to about 2,500.
doing our best to try to follow.
I don't think so, Starview. I looked at it. You're saying that he had a straight on the bottom board?
Yeah,
I don't think so. He had 8-6, I believe. I
yeah.
don't think
There
he
must
had
have been a
straight.
misread, and a lot of times since there's so many cards on the table, the way the radio frequency technology works, if a card gets too close to a different sensor, it might misread it. I think that must have been. what
Oh,
happened
so
there.
yeah, there's a possibility that we'll have to go back and look at that Doug mucks the 10 high straight. But it's hard to imagine. That's where I have a tendency to, because as players, we see that the board often, we've got those screens behind where you confirm that your cards have been read correctly or read. And sometimes you'll see that what it shows on the board, on the computer board, doesn't match what's on the table.
Yeah.
So,
And another common one is in seats 1 and 2 for the seat 2 cards to be read as seat 1 because they pass over the sensor.
yes.
I've noticed that to be somewhat
Yeah, I
common.
sit in seat 8 and 2 a lot.
Yeah.
And you'll have got 2 cards, but you're showing 3 on a bump pot, because a seat 1 or seat 3 or whatever is gotten the cards passed close by. So we haven't had as much to. And thank you for that star view. If that's correct, we bow to your greater knowledge and observant skills. We haven't had too much. I think that no 5s. Ace 7 is good so far. MH is playing a unsuited Tom's favorite hand. I am going to step out for a moment.
Okay.
Only because my bladder is about 35 years older than yours.
Understandable.
I'm not guessing at your age at this point, but I trust you can find something to talk about.
I'll take it from here.
Tell
in the meantime.
tell a fishing story. That's what I always.
Yeah, we should. We'll have to talk a little.
Oh,
fishing.
we will. We will. So especially if you grew up in Goliad.
Oh yeah.
My favorite place to fish on the coast is Port Mansfield. So,
Okay, I have been there. My favorite is Port O'Connor.
Oh yeah, I like Port O'Connor
Yeah.
too. That was when I was younger.
Okay.
I like trying to get away from people now, so Port Mansfield really fits the
That's a
bill.
good one.
got
I know a
friend,
lot of
Ruben,
people that
that's
like
a guide down there, and he just crushes specs. Oh, I love those things.
Yeah.
Big Mama spec.
One of my favorite things.
Topwater, Big Mama spec, crack of dawn.
Crack of dawn's the best part. All right. So white Uncle T steps out. We will move on to next hand here, hand 89. RFI showing MH opening the most hands for a raise thus far. Radio Dave a little bit on the tighter side, but also one of our winners. Different ways to get to a profitable session. Obviously strongly determined by, in the short term, by the quality of starting hands you're dealt. So Doug's going to raise 10 jack here offsuit. Kevin's got Broadway's in position on Doug. So he's going to 3-bet. I don't think this does detour Doug. Gets out of the way. Probably not wanting to play out of position versus Kevin. Oh, actually, Kevin was in position there. Or out of position. Doug was in position, but 10 jack offsuit, not speculative holding. Told we're going to have a string of about 3 to 4 hands where we'll have some technical difficulties, and then we'll be back with you. So stick with us on the stream. We'll get to some more action before we're done here. And if you are watching not live, you can just speed ahead a bit. Unless you want to hear Uncle T and I talk about fishing. All right, so we have Doug with a pair of 7s here. Nut flush draw for Corey with King 4 clubs. Kevin Y with the inferior club draw here and a pair. So James also with a pair. So everybody with a little something here. But Corey is ahead with his nut flush draw. Kevin decides to bet, and understandably, a pair and a flush draw is a strong holding. Unfortunately for him, his clubs are not live versus Corey. Trying to decide what he wants to do. Imagine he's worried because he has Doug still left. If he flats this raise from Kevin, he's got to worry about what Doug does, and he's going to take the aggressive route. He makes it 700. Now Doug is going to get away from his 7s pretty quick with that action. And Kevin is in a tough spot here. He has a pair of 5s and is technically slightly ahead, but I'm sure that he would not continue if he knew that his clubs were not live versus Corey. Kevin asking to see how much Corey's playing. He's got 1.1K. There is 1,100 already in the pot. I somewhat suspect that Kevin is going to jam, and he does. So Corey is basically pot committed here. He's going to have to chase his nut flush draw, given the amount of money that he's already put in the pot. And this will be a pretty big coin flip if he decides to do that. I might predict here, I imagine Corey's going to find a call and then they're going to run it twice, be my guess. He lets it go. Wow. Folds the nut flush draw to the aggression from Kevin. So Kevin wins with just a pair of fives, as the flush draw was no good.
I missed a goodie. $3,500 pot.
Yeah, you stepped out at the wrong time. Given the action here, it was a pretty interesting hand. So Corey, after flops the nut flush draw with the king high flush draw. Kevin Y has 7 high flush draw with a pair, and Corey bets out on the flop 700, and Kevin jams, Corey folds, and actually was a bit surprised by that based on how much money he'd already put in the pot, and was drawing to the nuts. He can't be that far behind.
Oh, this
even
is our dark hand.
And this is where we lose the hand, and actually I'm going to take my turn to visit the men's room.
Yeah, go ahead and leave me with a blank screen.
Yeah, I would say.
I will imagine.
We'll talk fishing when I get back.
Okay. Thanks for giving me a break. And I missed the action. Okay, folks, we're going to play this hand in the dark. Everybody's going to not know what their cards are, especially me. So we're getting intermittent flashes. So enjoyed calling this. 3K in pot, 1K to call, and seemed like a standard call to me too, Jeff. I agree. Sorry I missed that hand. This has been a little bit of a light night. We've only had 5 players the whole time, so I just tried to talk a couple of players out in the cash field to go play, but they are enjoying where they're at. So I'm going to stay short-handed, probably till the end, significantly. Those of you that are traveling or already on the road, please be careful tonight. And every night, I am going to spend my whole day watching football Thanksgiving Day because I hate to travel during Thanksgiving. But we wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Most of all, Mel, our kick-ass producer, David, appreciate it. Oh, that was, obviously age is in play here. It takes me 8 minutes to take a bio break. It takes Kyle 34 seconds.
Still have a strong prostate.
Yeah, somebody asked me, about vitamin D, and my response is always the same: no, I'm single. We'll let y'all run with that one in your minds. I don't know what it is about my age that people feel like I have to give some sort of pharmaceutical response, Like, no, sorry, I'm single. Not a problem. My prostate does get me up at night, but that's just because we're close friends. My prostate and I. Actually, in the bomb pot, the guy had both hands on the turn. Yeah, okay, so we did read it quickly. Thanks, Starview, thank you for reviewing that for us.
The warranty on the body runs out at 30, says Jeffrey.
I can honestly say my warranty, I got an extended warranty. Cost me a lot of money. But, yeah, there are a lot of things that run out at 30. You get them back at 40, but then they're gone at 40.
Only thing that ran out for me at 30 was my left ACL, but I just turned 40,
Really?
and
You're well preserved 40.
well, thank you.
I'm a well preserved 84.
Yeah, I know that's a lie. Yeah, so far, but my cousin who just turned 50 told me that his warranty started to run out at 40, so I'm hoping I don't follow in his footsteps.
You know, people ask me, you know, what was the most significant, like, decade age, 40, 50, whatever. For me, it was 30, and that was the last one I enjoyed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think I can't say that I've really looked. Oh, it's my birthday! Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Since then. But when I hit 60, there was a GAF factor. My GAF went down. Starts with give.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I started probably being more relaxed. So I think there's I wouldn't call this my golden years.
But,
You know, because 60
but you're
is the
enjoying
new
it.
50. So, and I've been involved with a wonderful woman who's significantly younger than me for a while, and she has kept me young thinking.
Kept you
please.
young.
And
Yeah.
that's why I say I like to hang out with people younger than me, because I already know all the opinions of people my age.
Right.
They are so much more locked
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Probably what gives out, the warranty on your brain gives out first.
Well, you know, actually, we got a set for Kevin, and and
That hand
let's
is
see.
over, and
I guess our graphics are behind here.
yeah, we're catching up from the.
We're
darkness.
catching up. But to your point about
Oh, it ran out both. Okay.
to your point, I've noticed for older folks in my family, the ones that seem to age the best don't exclusively make friendships and hang out with people that are their age.
Yeah.
I-
You will never see me on the pickleball court. Kevin Creekmore, I'm sorry, Kevin. True. Or on the golf course. So,
Well,
although I do like golf.
I got really into golf in my 30s, and I hardly ever play now. But I have to say, pickleball looks like it might be kind of fun. I've thought
I was
about.
a tennis player, so it's
Oh,
like,
to you, it's not legitimate.
well, it's like handball.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think I went and played handball twice, and it ended with me Wile E. Coyote into the wall, and said, "Yeah, I'm going to go
That's
back
enough.
to tennis."
Yeah.
It's less obstacles. But yeah, I tell people all the time my age. First of all, don't watch network news because it tickles your brain. If you're, I don't care what your
Yes.
responsibilities or your allegiances lie. Watching CNN, MSNBC, Fox,
Right.
that will pickle your brain and make you believe the world is going to hell.
Absolutely.
You'll find me watching podcasts like Joe Rogan, or there's a
One of
Southern
my
comedian
favorites.
whose name's gone out of my head. He has kind of longer hair. He's real redneck sounding.
A podcaster?
Yes.
Oh, Theo Vaughn?
Theo. I love to watch
Yes,
Theo.
I love Theo Vaughn
I
also.
love his perspective. He
Yeah,
had
yeah.
one with Dana White recently.
And he's funny. I watched that. It was great.
Oh yeah, where they got the Peloton machines
Yes,
out of the gym.
yes.
I laughed so hard. I was like, I love both those guys. I think it's important to diversify your experience or your entertainment. I also say when you go to play poker, if you're playing all with people your age, regardless if you're young or older, it's not positive.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, poker is it's obviously mostly male, but I like a really diverse table.
I'm with
It's
you.
interesting to talk to. I want to know where people are from. You know, I want to hear their experiences. Yeah.
I agree with that, and even from just a poker playing standpoint, there's certainly, and I won't name them, certain player types that I would prefer the table not to be made exclusively.
Yeah. I get you.
So,
I get you.
looks like we got a new player actually.
No, did we pick somebody up in
Picked up a new
C7?
player.
Ty? T.I.? All right,
Picked up
welcome to the
Ty.
table, Ty.
Seat
Inject some
6
life
or
into
7
these
there.
gentlemen. Oh, good. So we're loving the new software, right? So our producer's letting us know that we're going to have a little bit of another glitch. Yeah, yes, female bring live. So you're going to have to, get a little more
At the
detailed.
table.
At the
Okay.
table. Oh,
I thought
agree.
I thought she meant literally.
Yeah,
And they do.
Yeah, they do. They
Yeah.
bring actual live. Yeah, I love. Sam is one of my favorite people to play poker with,
Yeah.
just because she's a badass. First of all,
Yep.
poker player, and she's always up and positive. I generally, I like a gender diverse table. I like my tables non-binary.
Right.
So I really do. I mean, I like that.
Yeah.
I like
No, I'm with you.
guys bore me for the most part.
Yeah.
You're not boring.
Oh, I appreciate that.
But maybe that's you're in touch
Likewise.
with your feminine side. I don't know.
For those that don't know what I look like, that's I look more like a Viking, probably.
You do. You do. You do. You look like. That's why I say you could be in the cast of.
Yeah.
Of Braveheart. Yeah. Rocky. Oh, sorry. I thought
So we
throwing in her 2 cents on which movie you would be in.
So we got a medium-ish pot here going, but we
we're
don't
kinda
have the graphics.
In the tank here with in the dark.
I kind of wish we could see, because when Kevin and MH, who are the two folks with cards here, are in a hand, it's typically pretty interesting.
Yep, they have tangled. And this is a very, very, if they're playing the upper ranges, this is a real non-connected board for them.
Here's the overbet again.
Yeah.
It appears.
As KH is wont to do.
Oh, yeah, there's the 4. Yeah, so 475 into what looks like maybe 250 or so.
250 to 3
Yeah,
max.
it's somewhere in there.
Can't see any black chips, so yeah, I'd say 250 max.
Kevin's really thinking about calling. I wonder if he wants to get him back for the ace-high call.
Yeah, no.
He lets it go.
He lets it go. I'm sure, since it was Kevin, it was a good call.
Yeah, right. We don't even have to see.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. No, I'm really curious, actually.
Like I said, it's hard to have KH to your left.
Yeah, he's fun to watch on this side, but he's would be a tough player when you're sitting there facing overbets. It's not a very common thing that you see, but it's for somebody that uses poker training sites and such, that's a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you. So having played these live streams, what do you notice, because I kind of got a trend going in my head, I'm still validating it. What do you notice about when the stream stops and the play continues? Do you notice a difference with experienced 2-5 players?
Yeah, if there's any difference, and of course it's harder to tell because you don't get to go back and see the cards, but it feels like the play loosens a hair maybe, because people are less worried about being embarrassed on the stream.
Yeah, I think that's natural human tendency.
Yeah. What about yourself? I'm curious.
Yeah, I would say with the 1-3, I've noticed more that they loosen up.
Yeah.
Somebody flopped open-ended here. I thought they did. Yeah. 5-3. No, just a gut. Now they've got double gut. 4 or 7 gets dug there.
King high still ahead.
There's no aces on the board, and Jack doesn't connect with anybody either. So this is a
Whole lot
win.
of nothing. King high is good.
Doug threw his head in.
And MH, that's funny, slaps down the king high with a smile.
Yeah, for $100.
Yeah.
That's a bonus.
Buy yourself a pretty good steak dinner somewhere for that, quote, small pot.
So I tell people all the time, James the big winner tonight, up 700. Kevin is still down 900. Has come back a little bit. MH and Ty in the middle with just being about even. It's kind of spread evenly. Ty obviously hasn't played many hands. He's in for 1.5. So this is the other thing. I'm going to call out the 2-5 players. Yes, I told you I was going to do this. Dealers would prefer I don't do this. When you win a $600 or $700 pot, and you know this if you've played with me, and you throw a white chip at the dealer, I'm going to ridicule you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand that with some pro players that are doing this all the time, that this can add up.
Right.
But you have your dealers working the hardest that they work
He shows all the
all
bad
week
ones. So
on the live stream,
he gets
performing at the highest level,
Yep.
If he doesn't show, you can assume.
playing at the highest stakes we have at this venue,
Right.
in 2-5, because we don't have a 2-5 that runs regularly. Act like you appreciate it, especially if they give you your wonder card.
Right. And like we've said, and maybe you said it just now in a way, but they're doing a whole extra layer to their job that they
Yes.
yeah, with the headset, calling out the bet sizing and seats and
And if you're
yeah.
somebody that are likely, and this is another thing I don't like very much at the table, blaming the dealer
oh
for,
yeah,
for a bad hand,
terrible.
then you sure as shoot better give them the credit for a good hand.
I feel like I hear people complain to the dealer about the cards they're getting less and less though.
I hope so.
Mel is
Do you?
Mel is disagreeing with me. Maybe I've just
The only time that, somebody asked me the other day, because I got into a almost physical confrontation, which, when the person made their commentary about what they thought of me, and I let them know with my sign language for unicorn. You know what that is?
Yep, I do.
Yeah, you like that? And they kind of challenged me physically, and I was like, dude, seriously? And yeah, they were like, you're too old to get into this kind of a confrontation. I'm like, well, think of it this way. You get your ass beat by a 62-year-old, which is really embarrassing for you. Or you beat me, and I go lawyer up, and I take all the money you're going to make for the next 2 years.
Right.
And believe me, when I come to the
So
court
I can't
with my
lose.
walker and my seeing eye dog,
Yeah.
and I was really like not going to.
Right, of course.
But it was because they did something with the dealer.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that'll get my ire up so fast. Zing those cards back to the
that
dealer.
was where I was going with this. That is my number one pet peeve is
very high on my list too.
like verbal, like a little remark. Yeah, it's annoying, but the way I've said it is, you shouldn't have stuff thrown at you while you're at work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
what
unless
we're
you're a
talking
catcher
about
in
for the
major
folks
leagues, yeah.
who don't play all that much, occasionally there will be a player that maybe is frustrated because they got rivered or they, for whatever reason, and they'll forcibly kind of muck the cards and they go and fly up and maybe hit the dealer. And by the way, we don't want to paint the picture that this happens often at TCH, but you see it everywhere. There's a poker game, and I find that very distasteful.
And there is one of the things I like about TCH as opposed to what I call the Walmart of poker up north.
Right.
Is that they're not rigid.
That's
as
funny
much.
because
They're-
I call it the Target of poker.
Oh, you've upgraded it.
Well, I was more just talking about the size and the general.
Yeah, it's a warehouse. Book.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. When people come into town, I always steer them to TCH because I'm like, if you want higher quality poker with better staff and better atmosphere, more of a home game type of atmosphere.
Right.
Then this is where you want to be. If you're thinking about just making money, then maybe you want a larger selection. That's Walmart of poker. But they don't. If you do anything like that over there, there is no forgiveness. They are absolutely. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
What I do like about TCH is the players will take initiative.
True. Yeah. I've done it.
I have too.
Yeah.
There's one particular player that will remain nameless that did get banned for a while, and he fired cards at Carly, which is a really bad thing to do around me. Because Carly is one of my favorite dealers, her and her husband, Jeremy.
And she is a teeny lady.
She is a teeny lady, not to be mistaken with weak.
No.
That dog's got teeth. And I love she is. I call her La Reina because she is the queen of the table. She is absolutely in charge of the table. But that lit me up, and I threw my cards at the player.
Yeah.
And
How'd that feel?
They went right at their face and then veered off, and it really caught them off guard.
Yeah.
I said, "How you like it? How you like it?"
Yeah, yeah.
And I did it for free. And well, I just didn't like. I'm like, I don't care.
That don't
Your
matter.
jaw's flapping. Afterwards, I had the security person tell me that was a bad idea. I was like, well, maybe. Well, you could have got hit.
We've got a couple of small bomb pot that's split, but Ryan Locke has given us some non-poker related pet peeves. One is playing a team game and somebody not playing as a team, of course.
Yeah.
And then this one, very nuanced. The internet is slow the day after paying the bill. I think that's probably most folks.
Oh, that is nuanced.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That is factually annoying.
Yeah. That is internet. No, I just, on a much more linear thought, I just had the internet in my apartment changed to Google, screwed up fiber, and then AT&T screwed up their version of fiber, and it went back to Spectrum. So internet and insurance companies, you can have them all. Cellular companies.
Obviously not asking your address, but what part of town are you in?
I'm on 360 right by the Lake Austin, right past the
cool.
bridge.
Very nice.
Yeah, I used to live off 2222, just sold my condo over there, and so I moved into an apartment for the time being. And yeah,
Beautiful area.
yeah, I like it a lot.
What's the best restaurant in the near vicinity?
Well, I'm a fool for Jack Allen's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just never had a bad meal.
It really is phenomenal,
It is.
I think.
Best chicken fried chicken, which is my thing.
So, since we've already talked about it, Goliad is South Texas.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the area known for Tex-Mex, right?
Yeah.
And also probably the most common restaurant type. And so I've had a lot of good and bad Tex-Mex, but like to think more good than
I usually go for anything with the word Guadalajara in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
You know they're on their P's and Q's?
Yes. Yeah.
Are there?
That's I spend a lot of time in Guadalajara, so that cuisine I love. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But I have to say, I think the best enchiladas I've ever had were at Jack Allen's.
Really?
Yes, they have these barbacoa enchiladas that they put an egg on top of. And as I was eating it with my buddy, I felt guilty. I said, I hate admitting this because I'm supposed to be a purist from where I'm from.
You're
but
a Texan.
These are the best enchiladas I've ever had.
Yeah, they don't make anything bad. Now, my best friend in the world is she's Chicana, which means Southern California. Mm-hmm. If I call her Tejana, that's a big mistake because that's two totally different things, Chicana and Tejana. Her mother's from Jalisco, so and she's a great cook. So I also am very nitty about my Mexican food / Tex-Mex. I can tell you that most of the places that people want to go in Austin, we just had cards fly through the air. Other than it being like Doug's favorite thing to do.
Oh, yeah, he likes
Folding
the high
4
fold
feet in the air.
sometimes. Yeah.
I love going to Torches.
Oh, yeah. Torches. Yeah, good.
So
Their queso is,
yes. So my daughter lives up in Burleson, South Fort Worth, and they have a new Torchy's there. So I'm like, let's go to Torchy's, and that's her and her boyfriend. That's their favorite thing is the queso. And the girl brought her. She said, "Can I have some chips for the queso?" Because we have a little bit. And she had put the queso in a little cup, and she brought her a whole another cup of new queso. And I think my daughter wanted to kiss her face. So yeah, that's a
Ty here with a couple of ladies.
Oh, yeah. They're the ladies. We haven't seen many ladies tonight.
We really haven't. Yeah, that's been a missing
or
hint.
big pairs in general. But so Starview says, I want to go to TCH so bad. Maybe if I get my bankroll up. You know what, brother or sister? Don't know what Starview
I see a photo that appears probably brother.
It is probably brother. We will not assume your pronouns. Just come on. You don't need a big bankroll.
You don't, and actually, on that point, if you we have some very affordable tournaments, less than $100.
Yeah.
If you play well,
One
you
going
might
on right
you might
now.
play for several hours
Yep.
if you make the final table. So
Yep. We have a muddy night going on right now for $60.
Yep.
It's $60 night, right, Mel? The tournament tonight.
she's busy with graphics,
Yeah,
but
yeah, doing her job. How much? The $60 tournament tonight, right? Oh, okay.
oh, okay, yeah. So
I thought the $20 was Wednesday night, but we have a tournament going on tonight. There were 3 full tables when I walked by a minute ago. And Wednesday night we have a free roll. We have a PLO tournament on Friday night. That's always fun if you like PLO. We have a $150 or $120 buy-in on Saturday. Yeah, come on up and play the tournament.
Yeah.
You don't need a big bankroll. I won the tournament yesterday for a deuce to 7, cashed $13.50
nice.
on a $200 buy-in. So, and believe me, that was luck. I'm playing
Had
that
to run
tournament
good.
to learn deuce to 7, not because I know deuce to 7.
Actually, that's kind of what got me tournaments. Even though I'm a 98% cash player, probably.
Yeah.
What got me hooked coming to TCH a few years back was I entered a tournament and got second my first time here.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it wasn't my first time playing poker by any means, but I was like, okay, maybe I can do this, So then I just kept coming back.
I especially promote the tournaments at TCH because, when Kevin, C8 there, when he won his Art of Poker, he played till 3 in the morning, noon to 3. If I do
a
show
long
my
grind.
age anywhere, that's that. I can come to TCH, play a tournament, be done by 10:30 or 11. That starts at 7 or
Yep.
even 4 or 5, like our weekend tournaments. And not to brag, but just playing the tournaments like I do, I'm up $9,000 on tournaments this year.
Wow,
So,
incredible.
I track that, and that feeds my cash habit, where I'm a lot less likely to be up. So yeah, come play the tournaments.
Yeah, great way to get your feet wet.
Just a handsome brother. I guess he was referring to our discussion about.
I think Starview might, if you may have rewound and you may not be listening live. I think because the chat, if somebody pauses it and they chat, they're chatting about something that happened, maybe 10 minutes ago.
So
I
who's
think that's
just
possible.
a handsome brother? So it's $20 tonight. Oh, that's the one you can buy in at break even and have like $80K in front of you for $80 or something like that. Yeah, we've got a nice variety, and upon moving to the new venue, that variety will expand even greater. So we do have a cash 08 game on Sunday. This coming Sunday, we had every other Sunday we have a deuce to 7. We just had that yesterday. So there's a lot of variety, and they're not humongous time commitments. So
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the first tournament I played, I think it was, maybe 7 to we finished at about midnight.
yeah,
Had work the next day, not a problem.
yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can definitely play it on a work night.
Yep. Well, I'm kind of European. I don't go to bed till midnight every night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in la siesta.
I understood.
My
Maybe you
grandfather-
are actually 30. I go to bed at 9 o'clock, typically.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man. Yeah, you need to. Work
You're
on that.
younger at heart than
Don't
I
let
am
40
physically.
overwhelm you, bro. I really did that because my friend Marco in French, his now wife, when we lived together over off of Westlake Drive. They're European. They eat at 9 o'clock at night, go to bed at midnight, wake up early. I don't know how they do it because they wake up at 6 or 7 to go work out. They're just wrong. But I got into that, and I realized that's more my time span. And then I'll wake up at 7:30,
And then
and then take a half-hour
siesta.
nap. Yeah, I think that's the way man.
What time do you do that? Like 3 o'clock?
No, usually about noonish.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
just
I mean,
recharge
because most of
midday.
my work, you know, I have like 4 jobs, so I usually can do it during the lunch hour. My grandfather was raised on dairy. He always did that. Get up early and take a siesta.
Probably healthier, actually.
Well, in the old days in Texas, before air conditioning, you didn't work in the heat of the day. So
Yeah.
you would get up really early and then come back and take a nap.
It's like another pretty small flop, or pot. Nobody with much of anything here.
Oh, and we got another player in seat,
Other than ace high?
seat 6. Rocky in seat 6 has joined as well, along with Ty in seat 7. So the table's filled up a little bit. Still have seat 5 open. Coming from east, though so far away. Oh, I see what you're saying, Starvey. It's just a long way to go. I understand. How far east? You mean you're like talking like Charleston, South Carolina, or are you talking about like
East Austin.
Austin.
Yeah.
Bastrop?
If that's the case, then
Yeah.
that's not a probably good reason. All right.
All right, so where are we at? Raised first at pot.
Actually, Doug has overtaken MH. MH was leading that most of the evening.
Yep. Which is very Doug-like.
Yeah, Doug is not going to do a lot of flat calling.
No, Doug is like a lot of that generation of poker players.
Or, I'm sorry,
your
limping.
generation,
Yeah.
that if you're playing a hand, you should be raising a hand.
Yep.
That's a very different thought than 20 years ago, I've found. And I like it, to tell you the truth. It's made me a more disciplined player, I think, that way. Looks like not a lot of hands to play with. Ace four, ace jack. Tens. MH gets tens. Tens has some good hands tonight.
Yeah, he's had a lot of kind of middling pairs, it seems.
Yeah.
Rocky just got here and doesn't know what to think of MH yet. We would imagine, unless they've played in away
Rocky,
from
you'll
stream.
find out.
He is thinking about it. I do not recognize Rocky myself. I don't think we've played. What about, do you recognize Rocky?
I do
Uncle
not.
T? New person to the stream.
Like to see that.
He's
That's
going to
good
make a
thing
call.
He's been locked down too much. New players, and I haven't seen Ty before either. I've seen him around the club, but not on the live stream.
So MH is going to be out of position with his tens, but in the lead.
Such a large raise.
Hates that flop.
Absolutely.
2 overs to his tens, squarely in the calling range of Rocky. He's, unbeknownst to him, still has by far the best hand, but I'd imagine Rocky, he does not bet. I would have probably c-bet there.
Now he's drawing the gutter wheel.
Does pick up some equity.
There's a feeler bet. Where am I at?
A raise would work, but since he picks up that wheel draw, he might just flat. Hope to get lucky. A raise wins it right here, though.
It's good instincts if he's of course, it's hard to put big blind on a pair of tens.
Yeah, he's gonna
Something
raise
that
it.
quality, and I don't see how.
Yeah, MH can't.
And the good thing
here.
about this for Rocky is MH doesn't know him any better than he knows MH.
It was almost a min raise, though,
Yeah.
which,
220.
if MH doesn't know him well, can look very strong. And he does let it go.
Good bet.
Nice, yeah, nice raise
All
by
right,
Rocky.
Rocky, we're fed.
Rocky came to
We're
play.
fans. Is it just me or is it cold in here?
A little bit cool in the studio here.
Mel, are you in charge of temperature control? Really not. Are you in charge of temperature control? I guess
Warmer.
up. Well, not
No,
heat, but
you
just no
just-
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, turn
Yeah.
off the ice maker. Thank you. So, mad delay on my text. Good night, fellas. Good night, Starview. Come and see us. Virginia? As in Virginia? Wow.
That's pretty far east.
Yeah, I was joking about Charleston, but yeah, Virginia. All right.
Tie with the Snowmen.
Home of my mother. She was born in Arlington, Virginia. I was born in Arlington, Texas. All right. Virginia was a little farther away than I thought.
Yeah, that's pretty far.
Ty's got 8s.
Nobody else. Of course, we can't see Rocky's second card here.
How good could it be? Maybe he has a pair of 3s. Yeah.
Or I was thinking maybe like
Ace
Ace-3 suited, yeah.
James gets it through. 8s weren't willing to call. You know, that we had a really good discussion the other night at the table about set mining.
Yep.
What, you know, when you hit, say you play in deuces, obviously we're starting pair, and you hit it, and you're elated, and then you automatically go to negative thoughts, you know, like, but in reality, all the way up to 9s, maybe even 10s, it's not different. You hit a set, you hit a set.
Right.
The chances of our 9s, you hit a set, there's still going to be an overcard.
Right.
Or 2. Like the 10s just phased, king and a queen. So, obviously, when you get kings and you hit a set of kings, you're in the opposite situation.
Right.
You're probably not going to get paid.
Right.
So, what are your thoughts when you get a middle set? You go set mine in. Maybe you even had a fairly large commitment
Pre-flop.
Yeah, because somebody's
And I
playing ace
flop
king.
like a set of trays or something.
Yeah. Or even you're up against aces. You know by being outside the hand like we are,
Well, he put it out, yeah.
how strong you are, how visible you are, and how you're going to get paid. But what are you thinking when you nail that 5 and you've got a set of 5s and there's 2 overs?
Well,
Then you're gonna run after
first of all, a jolt of joy goes through my body. It's just
Yeah,
like
you get that
basically
initial,
yeah,
got my
it's
set.
one of the there's few better scenarios in poker, so that's it. Then the very next thing I'm looking at is how connected in the board and how much of the deck do I really not want to see on a turn card.
Yeah.
And that's going to determine how fast I play it. So, you know, and also if I have based on pre-flop action, you know, what is my idea of how strong my opponents might be? Is it possible they have an overpair to the board and they're that strong? Or is it more likely that they have top pair, top kicker, or those types of hands? Then I'm going to go ahead and bet it. If let's say I'm in position and they check to me and it's not a very connected board, it's going to be mixed on if I think this is a person that calls too often. If I just go ahead and bet, I'm always trying to get money in the pot. I think one mistake a lot of players make is they flop that monster green hand and then they slow play it to death, thinking that, you know, eventually they'll get the money in, and either they get sucked out on because somebody gets a straight or a flush, or
Right.
a very scary turn card comes and they're afraid to bet. Or you get in a situation where you haven't built a big enough pot by the river to really make a big enough river bet to kind of pay yourself. So that was kind of a long answer, but I guess I'm evaluating a lot of things. What are you thinking?
I agree with every single thing you said. What I've noticed though with younger players is they are less likely to set mine, which to me is a little bit of the opposite of what I expect, because they in my mind overvalue ace king and undervalue a pair of 6s or a pair of 8s.
Yeah, yeah.
So if there's pre-flop action that's, say in this game it goes, 3-bet to 60, 4-bet to 170, or something large. They're folding it almost always.
Right.
And I'm like, look, your potential payback
Yeah.
is so huge if you hit that set.
Yeah. Your implied odds.
Because
yeah.
what do you think those guys are playing? And you're right. They may be playing jacks or kings or queens, and one comes out on the river, you're going to have a dilemma. But your potentiality of hitting a low board
Oh, yeah.
and then just applying pressure according to connectivity
Yeah.
is so. I mean, some of my biggest hands that I've won in cash have come from mid to low sets.
I would say the same for myself, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know if
think-
that was kind of a generational way of looking at things where I'm like, what?
Yeah, I'm willing to put a lot of money in pre-flop with a low pair, as long as the stacks are deep enough. Now,
Yeah.
if I'm playing 1-2, I'm not going to put $100 in the pot.
Yeah.
If I've got a $300, I just sat down, I've only got $300. I'm not going to put 100 in there, but I'll put 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if there's a couple of callers. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm loving it.
You nail your card.
Cornell says he saw a set of aces versus a set of 10 in the golden nugget nuggets. By the way, I love the nugget. I always stay in the Carson Tower, which is a really economical
I've never
place.
been there.
Oh, I like their poker
I
room.
would like to go there.
Mainly because it's easy to step right out to the bar and get a drink, or if you smoke, have a smoke. It's a nice size poker room, and it's not very. It's like a home game. It's very much like TCH.
Yeah, yeah.
Size. Yeah, I mean, you set over set. There was Jeremy, the dealer, knocked me out of a tournament where the flop came Jack 10-8. I had a pair of tens, and he had a pair of jacks. I mean, it was super cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's the ultimate cooler set over set.
And Jeremy runs really well against me, I always say, which is a backhanded way of saying he outplays me. I always tell people, when you say, oh, you run so well against me, Derek said that to me the other day, and it's like, yeah, I know. It doesn't mean I outplay him. I don't, but I do run well against him. It's that kind of thing you have to watch out for. But I just love, especially because they seem to come in clumps.
Oh, yes. I'll have sessions where I flop, let's say I play for 4 hours. I'll flop 3 or 4 sets.
Yeah.
And you're just having this stream session usually.
Yeah.
And then I'll have times where I, play a few sessions in a row and no sets.
Yeah, and then they'll go away for a month.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you'll have this. Gosh, I can't even remember the last time I made a set. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's just a little surprising to me when a player overvalues a hand. There's almost always, I think it's like the second law of thermodynamics or something. There's poker law of thermodynamics. There's always some other hand he's undervaluing or she's undervaluing. With me, it's the younger players that really value the ace king suited overvalue it. They're undervaluing the lower pair. Seems to be the
I
opposite.
can see that.
Does it make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. I've been surprised of watching. Obviously you don't know if somebody does it really if you're not watching the stream, but I've been surprised at some of the. I forgot who did it. You don't have to call that person out, but somebody earlier in a spot folded a pair that I would absolutely have wanted to see the flop.
Yeah.
Try to flop my set.
And I like hands that have fairly easy decision-making process.
I totally agree. It's about as easy a hand to play post-flop as there is.
Yeah.
You did or you didn't hit your set, and
Yeah.
you get bet into, you can let it go. And
I mean, sometimes you'll have a set of sixes, and 3, 4, 5 will come out on the flop, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is now a different kind of hand.
right.
But for the most part, you've got an easy choice.
Yep.
If the board comes out ace, king, yeah, you're gone.
Right.
Okay, fine. I don't mind that. And, there's a board right there that we had a hand like this about a month ago, deuces.
Oh, wow.
That exact board with
Yeah.
deuces. You are so disguised.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You pray that there's an ace
Oh
out
yeah.
there.
And you're getting.
As long as a king and a queen don't come out, which is the range of an ace, they're going to make your life so profitable.
Oh yeah. You're getting their whole stack, or at least doubling yours.
Yep.
We had a question here. Haley Oz. What about? How about Big Slick? What's? Can you expound on the question?
Yeah. You talking about the way that you pay Big Slick, or the undervalued or overvalued Big Slick? Again, my friend Robert, the rock and roller, always says that Big Slick is just a drawing hand and hold 'em. Our producer is saying that we're about 15 minutes away from closing out our session. We are on hand 108. I guarantee you I don't know Cowboy with that number.
That we finally got out of your range.
But we got Fran Tarkenton and Troy Aikman, 10 and 8.
Okay, I would have got that one.
Yeah, you would have got the 10 and 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, Troy's easy. People ask me, how do you know the numbers? I said, well, I always play the lottery because I know it's just a matter of time. One of two things is going to happen. I'm going to die or I'm going to win.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it's inevitable. But I have like the Cowboy Hall of Fame as my numbers, which I'm sure there's like 15,000 people at least in my city that are playing those same numbers.
Probably
so I'm
that do that.
going to chop my pot, whatever it is.
I got top pair and a gutter.
And hand 108 yields a 10 and an 8.
A lot of checking going on. Corey's probably going to protect his top pair here. Backdoor clubs come in. Somewhat connected board. MH going to be sticky with his gut shot and overcard. Does not get there. Corey's still good.
Club's got there though, and he's not very much. And he's probably thinking at this point that king is all the guys need. So.
Goes check, check. Yeah. Doesn't want to get raised on that board on the river.
Yeah,
MH is
especially with
capable.
the aggressive player.
So speaking of the lottery, I actually have a T-shirt that says I won the lottery, and I did of sorts. But it's not what you think. I was, you know, as poker players, we'll often have a decent amount of cash on us.
Yeah.
And I was at a gas station, and this gentleman was trying to sell a $1,000 winning scratch-off to the attendant, and I'm right behind him, so I'm hearing the discussions. He said, "No, sir, I can't do that." And so I just thought, well, that's kind of strange. So I quickly pay for my stuff, and then I was like, you know what? I'll see how much he'll sell it for. So I ran out to the parking lot, got him. I was like, hey, how much did you want for that? I was like, well, it's a $1,000 winner. I want $800 for it. I said, well, I'm not going to do that because you have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll give you $500. And he's like, I don't know. I said, okay. Well, and I turned around and he's like, okay, I'll take it. Checked the ticket. It was good. Took it to the lottery commission. Got my $1,000. Got a T-shirt.
Got a T-shirt? They give
Yeah,
you
I
a
got
T-shirt?
a T-shirt that says I won the lottery.
I wonder if I should have taken mine. I mean, I went down there because I won 1,600 once. And I went down there, and now I feel gypped because I just got my money. I didn't get a T-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to show up. All right, so this may be, is this the closeout bomb pot? No, we're 15-minute delay.
We'll
so
have
this
one
is,
more.
Yeah, one more at the end. Oh, we didn't start till probably top
No,
of
we
the
started a
hour,
little after.
so yeah, we probably have a little bit more time. So we're at, got a lot of hands in, 109 hands. So
Not a lot of tanking.
no,
Just here and there.
and when you're shorthanded, you're
Yeah.
obviously going to get a lot of hands in. The turnover is going to be quicker. Doug is going to bet his basically wrap on the bottom and wrap on the top. At least one. now he's got 3 pair on the top. No real help on the bottom. MH is playing his queens, which blocks a lot of those straight draws, at least the higher ends of them. And he has 10-8 as well, so he had 2 pair. Now Doug's got the better 2 pair on top, and he's got a naked 9 on the bottom. Queens are better on the bottom. MH is probably the ace.
Good potential for both players,
Yeah,
actually.
both they're neither one of them really drawing to the nuts.
Yeah,
But-
probably will slow things down.
Yeah,
Most likely.
but the equity is pretty spread on the boards in 2 directions. Looks like MH's got a little bit more equity on the top board. That is, well, one of them is a security card, the other one's a total. So now we have a pair. Doug's got to hate that.
Yeah, MH.
He got the board to pair, the only card he didn't have. And if it makes sense when you look at what MH has. So neither one of them like the top board at all right now. And the 4 does. So
Unless Doug decides he wants to buy it, but I doubt it. I doubt he bluffs at this.
yeah.
He's just gonna take his equity. Which 100% I would have done as well.
Yeah.
So Haley Oz got back to us. Would you play big slick like pairs? If you're talking about small pairs, well, actually any pair, but since we were talking about sets, I'm going to assume you need small pairs. And the answer is not even close to the same.
Yeah.
It's a very, very different strategy in playing big slick versus small pair, but to Uncle T's earlier point, a lot of people may overvalue it, but it's so situational how you play big slick.
Yeah.
So probably too much to get into.
Yeah, there's
between
so many
hands.
variants to that. How many people
Yeah.
are in the hand? What is your position? I think that just
How deep are you?
Yeah, exactly. How deep are you? And I will say this. I think positionally, I feel differently about big slick than I do about a mid to small pair.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more position agnostic with a mid to small pair than I would be with ace king. I want to be in position with that in case the board is dry, because I'm getting so much information on off of action or non-action. So that's kind of maybe an overcooked answer to your question. The bottom line is no, we don't play big. I wouldn't play, and I think Kyle said he wouldn't play big slick like pairs.
No, yeah, it's definitely different. But Jeffrey asks, do you think they overvalue it or fail to properly navigate the flop and take into account board texture?
You mean the players, Jeffrey? These players particularly, or who you say it when you say they?
Might mean just
Pairs?
general folks and
Do you mean like recreational
TCH,
players? Do they
yeah.
overvalue big slick, or fail to properly navigate the flop and take the
yeah.
You know, so again, that's almost a generational question.
Yeah.
I think once you kind of overvalue big slick, it's easy to get away from that overvaluing when a board like ace-4 comes out. And, you know, you have an ace, and if you have ace-king, you're obviously going to think you're ahead most of the time. But then a heart comes out, and you're like, okay. I don't know. I think it's like any other hand. I'm going to think about the board texture and the player that I'm playing first. So what's the worst case scenario and the best case scenario? How likely is this player to have something that puts me in one of those scenarios? And then what the one mystery to me about big slick, and I'll get your interpretation of what you sure, is the completely dry board. I noticed some people play like they've got a pair. That's where her question is very, very applicable. Do you play it like a pair? After you have a dry board that you don't hit?
I hate using this answer, but it depends on the player. And let's assume if I'm in position, I'm going to see bet the flop if it's checked to me and I have ace. Try to win it right there. If you don't, you generally are going to have you're going to have 2 overs to the board.
Yeah.
Speaking of ace king, we'll see how Radio Dave decides to play it.
Yeah, here's a case in point.
The one other point I want to make on this before we kind of move on here, though, A mistake that I notice, and I've certainly done it myself at times, is a player will raise all their strong and non-paired strong hands. So like ace king, ace queen, they get pocket aces, pocket kings, etc. They'll raise, and when they get their pocket fours, they want to limp in, and it's the only time they do it, just so that when it's raised, the pot's a little smaller, they can call, see if they hit their set. So I notice a lot of players that will do that, where if you notice the only time they limp is when they have a small pair, you can just know that they're set mining. And if they start to go ballistic after the flop, then you can maybe put them on a hand like that.
Yeah, unless somebody is taking the aggression because you're in position. You know, when you made your set and say you're in the hijack, and you got two players in earlier position than you, and they take the aggression, you're so disguised you can you can add all the tanking and hemming and hawing and consternation into your set. All you can feel in your heart.
Something that normally spins but has too much of it. That's what's
Probably higher.
Well, like wheels spinning off.
Okay, thank you.
Stick with us, folks. We got 4 more hands. 116 is where we're going to wrap up.
Yeah, I think
Something bad would
Jeff
happen.
clear up. Yeah, I'm talking about the player playing ace king. I think if you start off aggressive with your ace king, you're not
Man,
just
some
saying
thoughts, some thoughts are internal thoughts.
you kind of have to continue to be aggressive.
Yeah, because you're not going to hit the flop most of the time.
Yeah.
So if all you do is raise with ace king, maybe even call or re-raise, you miss the flop and then you fold, it's not going to be a very profitable hand for you.
And I think one of the reasons that a lot of younger players overplay it and then don't know what to do with it. It's like last night they kept jamming. How they say it, they kept jamming the big slip. They didn't know what to do. Well, that's true of anything you jam with. It's hard to call. But I think that it's like an easy hand to get aggressive with, but they watch too much YouTube channels where people jam and push too hard with ace king and don't hit a flop, and they think it actually has value because it's still in the lead.
Yeah.
It's not in the lead most of the time.
Right.
Unless you jam pre-flop. Yeah. And then you're behind a pair of 2 deuces.
And also another situation to call out that is probably a good time to jam ace king, even in a cash game pre-flop, it's a good squeeze hand. So if you've got raise, call ahead of you, there's enough in the pot based on the stack sizes. Just get the money in there. You probably win all the money pre-flop. You're happy with that. If you get called, you get to see all 5 cards to, hit your pair or the best hand, whatever that ends up being.
When somebody does that and they win a pre-flop and then they throw over ace king, there's always a couple people say, "Oh wow, look at that!"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you had 2 live cards."
Yeah.
I always devalue it.
Right,
Like,
right.
Okay, you're still drawing, so my 9-7 is drawing as well.
I think the other mistake, I guess, that people make, and it's very important, I think, probably to point this out, is I think ace king has a lot more value in tournaments, in my opinion, because you're usually much less deep. So if you have 20 big blinds and you get big slick, you've got to try to get your chips in for the most part, unless there's wild action. In a deep cash game where you've got 300 big blinds, if you overplay it, you're going to get yourself picked off way too long. And actually, that's one of the things that I've noticed, that a lot of tournament players, if they will maybe make the comment, "Yeah, I'm a really good tournament player," and then I go to the cash table and I just get bad beat all the time. I got ace king, the flop came ace 4, 10, and somebody had called me with ace 4, and I got it all in. I'm like, well, you got to watch the action post flop to see, are they telling you they have 2 pair? But in a tournament, if you're very shallow and you flop top pair, top kicker, first of all, they probably didn't call you with ace 4.
Right.
And secondly, you've only got so much time with the blinds going up to you know, win some pots or at least defend, pick up the blinds.
Well, you know Billy, long-haired Billy, not
Yeah, oh, yeah.
older Billy. He was telling me, he said, you know, you really ticked off this particular player that at one Choctaw has a reputation as a really good tournament player today. She really ticked him off. And I said, why? He goes, because you called him with middle pair there. And I'm like, yeah, because I just couldn't put him on a hand that got there. In the way he played it, just seemed like aggro action. And I'm like, what are you repping here? And so I called him off with middle pair, and he was just really disgusted. And he goes, well, he's a really good tournament player. And I said, you know, yeah, but that doesn't translate to cash.
Nope.
Not in the case of what our stacks were like, what his position was, and my position. And you're right, as probably in a tournament, because my tournament life would have been. If I lose that hand, I take 4.4 seconds to pull the other $300 out of my pants and put it on the table. So my thoughts are not even the same.
Yeah.
And I see that sometimes. It's like tournament players that try to play like cash players that try to play at tournaments. That's
Yeah,
why
I
it's
mean,
good to have
there's
a
nuance
balance.
to both,
And
you know,
there
for
are.
sure. But
And I would say even more than nuance, there's significant differences.
I agree. Yeah.
So the nuance is also there. What's your opinion on showing? Okay, I'm sorry, Chris, we missed you. The general idea is, Howie says, is to scoop chips and entice a pot. I never try to entice a pot. I just try to win them. Howie, I know what you're saying. I'm just being smart. If you go all in pre-flop with ace-king, you get to see the whole board. It's great.
Yeah, and that's why, like I mentioned, you're not afraid to squeeze with it all in.
Yeah.
In tournaments where you're more shallow, you're only going to have so long to pick up a premium, and if you jam, you're unlikely to get called by. You're mathematically unlikely to run into a bigger hand. Jay Stevens, this is a good question. What is your opinion on showing cards? I think most people give too much info. Select spots to induce tilt are good, but showing winners, no.
I like to show people winners when I want them to be afraid.
I think, going back to our table image conversation earlier, I think that I will show, if I want my image to appear tighter, I'm going to show some good hands.
Exactly.
If I feel like my image is too tight, I'm going to show a bluff, to try to get them to pay. Because if your image is too tight, it's hard to get paid when you make a big hand, and that's a frustrating way to play poker. So I think you just kind of select based on what you want to, how you want to adjust your table image.
So I want to hear your thought about what Chris said.
Okay.
Only show cards to make people mad, or that make people mad. That I really agree with him or her. I guess it's I can't tell.
Yeah,
Chris, you
Chris
just got to see. So we'll go with the generic Chris. I agree. This is where
tilting.
you're playing the person sometimes and not playing just the game. It's a game within a game. Like my buddy Sam Chobit, when he makes the bluff and I folded, he flings out that 5-6 off so fast, and I'm like, oh, you suck. He knows it makes me mad, but he also knows that about 2.2 hands later, I've completely forgotten about it because I'm not going to let it translate.
Right.
So that's a little between us. I kind of agree, though. I want to show the cards. The big mistake I see cash players do, or tournament players, showing both. If you want to, show your bluffs or show your
manipulate,
nuts, so to speak. Show your monsters, but don't do both.
Right.
That's the biggest mistake.
And by the way, if you make quads, just show it.
Yes.
Because nobody learns anything from it. You made quads.
Good for you.
You're probably not going to make quads again soon, so it doesn't matter. Just show off your hands.
Well, that's what my buddy will like. He'll make I'm sorry, I only play straight flushes. He'll show a straight flush or something. He'll say, "I'm sorry, that's all I play."
That's all I play.
Yeah, and
Better be
the
folding
joke
the rest of
is
the
like,
So Kevin's got a boat here, and MH might think he has the best hand with ace high, but he bets into him. So this pot.
Wait a minute.
Actually,
how has he
they
got a
both
boat?
have the same boat.
They have the same boat. Yeah. because the jacks are playing.
Yeah. I saw
So they're both playing the board.
I saw the boat on the turn as we were talking.
So the action
Didn't
is,
notice the jack
does he
there.
have a queen or does he have a jack? They're both thinking the same thing. Because my hand's dead. Little do they know they're dead. And,
I mean-
and who made the bet here? So Kevin,
MH, yeah. I think Kevin's just going to flat it and chop this up.
I don't know. If the worst feeling in poker is I'm betting we're going to chop 740 or what is it 247. We're going to chop $120 and I've got to pay $500 to do it.
Oh, no, it's yes. Oh, I see. Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's sorry. We were talking. Didn't catch the beginning of the hand.
He's thinking. When people start to play with their cards like that, that usually means a fold.
And now Kevin's stuck tonight for about 800, so I don't think he's thinking about that right now. He's too good for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That is MH in a nutshell right there. Position. So J. Stevens says showing cards that cause the greatest confusion is optional or optimal. Keeping one guessing, keeping them guessing.
Well,
I
anything
agree.
you can do that creates confusion is optimal.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I jump up on the table, take off my shirt, and swing it around. No, I'm joking, but but to tell you the truth, if there's only one thing that people show that makes me confused. It's
That
when they
is?
roll over the totally inconsequential card. They'll roll
right.
one, like a 4 of hearts over, and you're like, why the hell are you showing
why
that
did you
to me?
show
The
that?
board's
Yeah.
all Broadway
Yeah.
cards, and why are you showing me your 4 of hearts? You want me to believe you bluffed?
Right.
That's the only one that causes me confusion. If you roll over a hand, I'm going to be one of two things: dead on or a little surprised.
Right. Well, and the other thing too is they'll try to. I feel like they always had a much stronger hand because if there's a 4 on the board and an ace, you get to the river, they bet you've got nothing but fold, and they just flip over the 4. You can rest assured the other one was probably the ace, or they had a 2-pair type hand, and they just try to throw. That one doesn't.
That's
that
one of the
doesn't
reasons
fold.
I never just show one card.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I'll do it to like Jay Stevens says to cause confusion, because I'll roll over like there's a Broadway draw out there, but you had to have like king queen to get there, and I'll roll over the king, and they're like, oh shoot, did that mean he had kings, or did he did have king queen? But the one that always cracks me up is rolling over a card that has
That's
nothing
just
to do with
absolutely
anything.
inconsequential.
Like, why did you even bother to do that? It does cause me confusion, but mainly about whether you know what the hell you're doing.
right. Yeah, actually, it makes me think maybe you just really don't know what you're doing in general. We got the final
Is
hand
this the
here,
wrap-up Bon
116.
Pod? Okay, we will give it the appropriate attention since we've been mostly inattentive to the hands.
Kevin,
I've enjoyed the conversation. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much.
It's been a
Thanks
fun
for
time.
having me pitch in here, and Rocky's got the nut flush on the bottom.
thanks everybody that's joined in the chat. Pretty
And,
good conversation
Corey's
in the
got
chat today.
The nut straight. Yeah, thank you all, everybody. And good questions here at the end, especially Rocky drawing a boat and a royal. Oh, good point. Yeah, ace jack. That's a good point. I noticed the nut straight.
Be nice to end on a royal flush.
Yeah, let's do it. I made one the other night in PLO
Already
that I
has
didn't
the
even know I
nut
had.
flush.
And I got ridiculed appropriately.
So
Did Chris just flip for me there? I thought the clubs were up. Maybe I'm hallucinating. All right, so clubs are still good, and the nut straight 8-7 is weakened, which is, oh, wait a minute, you got 10-8 now, so it's still the nut straight.
yeah.
But the diamond.
But Corey's gonna pot this because he has the nuts, and that's going to be a tough call for Rocky because the diamond's on the top. So this will be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
And
that's a great way to end it with a tough decision. Obviously, they both are locked in, but Corey doesn't know it.
Rocky does have 2 pair on top and might think he has a scoop. I hope he pots this, but it looks like he might
Oh yeah,
I
9.
think he has us. Yeah, he's
Oh, he just value bets it.
yeah, and
I
he's
think
going to
you
have
could
to
push
chop.
him off. He's going to absolutely call that.
See, I don't know what your philosophy is, but I'm
I
potting
jam it.
that
I
every
jam
time.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
You
jam
bomb
it.
that to
I
be
want-
sure.
Always in bomb pots.
Yeah.
If you've got one nut, excuse me.
You bomb it and
If you
hope
got
that
one
you
nut,
can
you
avoid the
make
chop.
them think you have 2.
Yeah. Well, thanks to everybody that's joined us. That's it for today. We'll be back later this week with another live stream.
Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Thanksgiving week.
Day.
We'll be back
Yep.
the following week. Thanks,
That's right. We'll be
T.
back next Monday.
And any final words, Uncle T?
No. Yeah, this was a great conversation. Thanks everybody for the questions and the little discussion tonight. Always enjoyed that. And have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Everybody, please be safe.
Absolutely. Have a great night.